All right, got a little error message here. Looks like the stream was deleted on YouTube. Try creating a new stream or just remove this destination and then re-add it. Okay, well, good morning, Facebookers. I'm going to work on that for a second and tell you that we're going to be talking about Medicare Advantage plans with a special guest. Might not affect you, but it might affect your parents or grandparents. You might be a caregiver, or they might say to you, help me with this. We got an expert. Derrick Van Orden, we found a radio clip of him saying, if we can't pass a budget, we don't deserve to be in the majority. All right, buddy, we'll play that back. And Sean O'Malley gives us 5 trillion reasons to fear another stock market bubble. It's all about AI, and a company now worth $5 trillion. Should any company be worth $5 trillion? Honestly, we'll talk about that in our 8 o'clock hour. That's all ahead at 6:06 across the Civic Media Radio Network and right here. We'll see you soon.
Become more common again.
Many doctors recommend flu before boo, as in get your shot before Halloween. Speaking of, as you're making your plans for tomorrow, many Dane County communities have trick-or-treating hours. Madison is not one of them. The city does not put out suggested trick-or-treating times. Here are some other cities, though. In Fitchburg, it's 4 to 7. In Verona, it's 5 to 8. And in Middleton, Sun Prairie, and Wanakee, it's 5 to 7. And after trick-or-treating, we change the clocks. Here's meteorologist Brittany Merlot.
On Sunday, we get an extra hour of sleep when the clocks fall back an hour at 2 a.m., resulting in earlier sunrises and earlier sunsets. While this change gives us an extra hour of sleep, the time difference can still cause confusion and disruptions to the schedules for kids and pets. The Journal of Clinical Sleep Medicine says the shift in time change has been associated with increased heart attacks, strokes, abnormal heart rhythms, sleep disruption, mood disturbances, and even suicide. People tend to feel more tired with the less light. A common chemical that regulates that is called serotonin, and that comes from the sun. So it's important to increase your exposure to sunlight during the day, especially in the morning. I'm meteorologist Brittany Merlot.
And I'm Savannah Tomei Olson, 92.7 WMDX News.
Do the Bucks have a new leader? Hi, I'm Mike Clemens with Sports. NBA, the Bucks' new center, Miles Turner, picked up in that trade with the Indiana Pacers, so far has done a lot to help set up his teammates with good shots. Is that a form of leadership? Head coach Doc Rivers.
It just tells you, it's funny talking to Reggie Miller before the game because he knows Indiana. He said, man, you like that leadership? I said, it's amazing. I said, I never knew. He said, no. That was the key for them. He was such a great leader.
The Bucks host the Golden State Warriors tonight. NFL, the Packers preparing to host the Carolina Panthers Sunday at noon. Quarterback Jordan Love named NFC Offensive Player of the Week. Love completed 20 passes in a row against the Steelers. Had he ever done that before in college or high school?
I don't know, honestly. I don't know who keeps stats like that in high school, so I don't know. I'm not sure.
Kids seem to know how many points they always score.
Yeah. I don't know. Probably the first time ever, yeah.
That's Jordan Love with Sports. I'm Mike Clemens.
Catch Farm Report updates throughout the day from the Midwest Farm Report, right here on 92.7 WMDX.
It is going to be partly to mostly cloudy today. We'll get to 54 for a high this afternoon. Tonight, mostly cloudy. We'll drop to 35 for an overnight low. Tomorrow, partly to mostly cloudy with a few showers possible and a high tomorrow right around 53. I'm meteorologist Sean Cable. Outside now, it's 35.
Not completing high school is more of a social thing than it was an academic thing. Even though all these years have passed, I still had that longing to have my diploma.
At age 30, Carissa finished her high school diploma.
If you're even considering getting your high school diploma, you can do it.
No one gets a diploma alone. If you're thinking of finishing your high school diploma, you have help. Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org. That's finishyourdiploma.org. Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
Listen to the Civic Media exclusive podcast, Busted Pencils.
I mean, that comes naturally for me, Jacob, as a blue-collar scholar. I really love knowing, hey, what are the skills I need to complete the job? And how can I be the very best? I really think that we owe it to the next generation. And I don't even mean just young people, but anybody thinking about, hey, I'm going to change my career pathway. I think we owe it to them to say, well, here are the experts in your...
Quiet on the set, please.
Be very, very quiet. I'm hunting rabbits.
Can't believe you knew that reference.
Live across Wisconsin on Civic Media, you're listening to Mornings with Pat Kreitlow, powered by Up North News. Now, from our Lake Wissota studio, here is the founding editor of Up North News, Pat Kreitlow.
Well, hey there, Wisconsin. Good morning. It is 6:06 on a Thursday morning, October 30th, 2025. October 30th. Happy birthday to my oldest daughter. It means I've been a parent for years. She's at that age now. You can't say that my 8-year-old daughter, my 10-year-old daughter. Now it's my 30-something daughter. So happy birthday. It's another beautiful morning to have you here up north, live from Lake Wissota, from wherever you're listening across the Civic Media Radio Network. Spending your mornings right here as we get set for Halloween, just one day away. November, just 2 days away. I got a question for you. Do you trust Joe Namath to sell you health insurance, or Jimmy Walker? Remember JJ Walker from Good Times, or William Shatner from Star Trek, or some of the other, D-list celebrities that are in these ads for health insurance through something called Medicare Advantage? If you're, say under 50, you probably don't think about this at all. You probably don't notice the commercials one bit. But if you have a parent that is approaching, 65, or if you yourself are getting there and you're starting to pay attention to this kind of stuff, like I am in my impending elderliness, and with a parent who just turned 80 and is looking at a Medicare Advantage plan that she'd had for years and is now being canceled. And so she and a whole bunch of other seniors around the country have to find new Medicare Advantage plans. I mean, everybody has to do a lot of homework real fast. So we've got an expert coming in today to talk about that at 7:35, and she'll tell us all about, what to look for in Medicare. Now, let me back up a second here, because I don't blame you if you don't. Well, what's Medicare Advantage? Blah, blah, blah. Medicare, the actual Medicare, the thing that got set up back in the 60s, all right, was to make sure you've paid your taxes all your life, all your working years. And when you turn 65, your health care is just taken care of by and large. Well, somewhere along the line, some politicians allowed regular old insurance companies to sneak in there and offer their own plans and call it Medicare Advantage, even though it is nothing like regular Medicare. And the problem is, once you decide to go with one of those plans, it's tough to go back to original Medicare, and you're suddenly trapped in that web that you thought you got rid of when you retired and you could just get regular Medicare. So we're going to talk about the difference between regular Medicare versus these Medicare Advantage plans. They do have some, pun intended, advantages, but the disadvantages are something you really ought to consider before you put your name on the dotted line someplace. So stick around for that. That's coming up. We will also be talking to Sean O'Malley about your money in the markets. I got 5 trillion reasons for you to be concerned about a stock market bubble, because we hear all about, how the stock market is going great guns right now, so the economy must be great. No, it's not. It's not. There is such a bubble brewing in AI right now, and Sean O'Malley is going to help share some of the warning signs with us. So that's coming up along the way as well. And of course, your input, which is always welcome by phone, by text, by comment, by email, 855-75-CIVIC, 855-752-4842, or use that Civic Media app to call us, to text us, to send us a voice note, or jump in the comment sections of Facebook or YouTube. That would be the Up North News Facebook or YouTube pages, or the Civic Media Facebook or YouTube pages. And it's on there where, let me bring the card up here on for social media, where people can see there's a lot fewer leaves here along Lake Wissota right now. Parker Olson joining us from Madison Studio A2, where I would imagine the leaves have been falling fast and furious by you as well.
Yes, they have. There are about no leaves on the tree I parked my car under.
They're about no leaves. Yeah, we're getting there rapidly. So I'm hoping for decent weather this weekend, because then it's just going to be me and a leaf blower. Just then you hear it all throughout the neighborhood, like, because raking stinks if you've got more than a postage stamp size lawn. So okay. If you can use power to get those leaves out of there, why the heck wouldn't you? So we've got lovely fall weather out here.
I didn't know you felt so strongly about your leaf blower.
Come on, it's a lot of fun. I've done the raking thing, and I'm not I'm not immune.
These hands are too old.
These hands are they're so dainty and delicate. And no. But they do after a while. It's like, okay, this is getting old. Can't we do something? It's about speed more than actually about power or hands or anything else. It's like, can we get this chore done with already? Especially if, it's one thing if you've got little kids. I remember having to rake all the leaves in a pile and the kids jump in. Oh, it's fun. It really is. It's great.
Oh yeah.
But at some point you don't have that anymore, and you're just like, oh, let's just get these out of here, and preferably in my case down the bank, close to the lake. But because I like both my neighbors on either side, but there have been years in the past with different neighbors. It's like, oh no, the wind was suddenly out of the east. I don't know how that happened. Oh well. Oops. So
that's
look at me making trouble on the street here already. Let's see. We also have, well, you pay attention to the WIAC.
I do.
Wisconsin.
Thank you. Okay. Pat,
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you for saying WIAC.
Okay.
That
the
is
Wisconsin Intergalactic
Collegiate.
Intergalactic Athletic Conference. Yes.
Oh, intergalactic. I like
yeah. So that'd be like your UW, Whitewater, Eau Claire, Platteville, things like that. And apparently, does somebody else not say WIAC?
a lot. This is a massive debate in like the Division III community of whether it's WIAC or WEAC.
No, WEAC is the teachers union, WEAC, the Wisconsin Education Association Council. That's WEAC. I have never heard the WIAC called the WEAC. So who's ever doing that needs to sit down. That's just wrong.
I want you to know I'm clipping this and I am sending it to my friends.
Good. Thank you.
Because this is very important.
It's not just important, kids. It's basic. Okay.
It is.
It's basic.
It's
the WIAC. Anyway, Platteville from the WIAC was the opponent for the Wisconsin Badgers in this year's Guarding Against Cancer Classic. I might have the name wrong on that, but you know, the Guard brothers. Yeah, the Guard brothers were coaches, the respective coaches at Madison and Platteville. And how did I assume the Badger men prevailed in this instance?
The Badgers did win. I don't think it was as pretty as they wanted it to be.
Here it is, 69-53, Badgers over Platteville. Final tune-up game for the Badgers before their season begins next Monday against, of course, the Fighting Camels of Campbell University, which I'm never going to take seriously, unless, of course, the Badgers manage to lose next Monday. Then it's a whole different thing. But Badgers begin the regular season next week. And you said Platteville actually put up a bit of a fight?
I believe so. Yeah, I think I read that they actually were up like 8-0 or something like that.
I could see that. I mean, there was the 1 year, they rotate schools, and 1 year it was UW Eau Claire, and we went down to Madison to see the Blue Golds play, the Badgers. And of course, the Badgers ultimately prevailed. But you get that false sense of security when the Badgers are just kind of doing their rope-a-dope strategy and just seeing what the other team has got. So I'm sure the Platteville fans enjoyed that. But yes, in the end, ultimately, the Badger men were victorious, as were the Toronto Blue Jays, who beat the LA Dodgers 6-1 last night to come within a game of clinching the World Series. Game 6 will be tomorrow night as Team Canada and Team America.
Team everyone but LA.
Team everyone but LA, actually. Yes. Roots for Toronto in tomorrow night's game. The Dodgers looked so quiet last night in the parts that I saw. The ones where we're watching the Brewers going, come on, guys. Come on, guys. Come on, guys. And you could they kept doing cutaways of the crowd, of the Dodger crowd, just all looking like, come on, guys. Come on, guys. Anytime, guys. And it was like they ran out of gas. They're just done. Now, can they pull off one game, much less two in Canada? Sure, it's possible. I mean, we've seen that lineup. We see what it can do. But at this point, Toronto definitely has the momentum. And that would be all right with us.
Yeah, I'm okay with the Blue Jays winning.
Yeah, we can do that. Let's see, one news clip to tell you about, and then we're going to hear from Sharita Booker as we talk about weekend events that you might consider attending at points around Wisconsin this weekend. But as the government shutdown drags on, and we look back at the record of what some of these folks in Congress have had to say, in the past about government shutdowns and budgets and things like that. Something really grabbed our attention from Western Wisconsin Congressman Derrick Van Orden, who, like like others, tries to do this job of pretending to be a moderate, pretending to call out the right wing of his party, when in fact he is a, dues-paying member of the right wing of his party. But he was on something called the John Fredericks Show in December of last year. So they knew they were about to take control of Congress. Donald Trump had just won the presidential election. They were going to have the House and the Senate and the White House. And this is what Congressman Derrick Van Orden had to say about being in the majority, and therefore they were able to pass a budget. They were going to do whatever it is they wanted to do. And if they couldn't get their stuff together, well, then by gum, they should pay a price for that. Listen to what Derrick Van Orden had to say.
When we have unified government, I'll be very clear about this. When we have unified government, if we cannot get our 12 appropriations bills through in a budget, then we don't deserve to be in the majority any longer. We don't. I don't sugarcoat anything. And I'll take the paint off anybody that is talking smack about these sorts of things. That includes members of my own party. So a lot of the reasons you got to understand that we didn't get a lot of things done was because of members of the Republican Party. Some of our far right guys held things up in the Rules Committee. They voted against rules if the rule passed, and they prevented a lot of these measures getting through. So that's true. The other side of the coin is anything we do has to get through the Senate, which was controlled by Chuck Schumer, and it still is until we get through January. So I'll say that again real clear. When we have unified government, if we can't get our 12 appropriations bills through and a budget passed, then we do not deserve to be in the majority, period.
I'm Derrick Van Orden, and I approve this message. There, game, set, match from Derrick Van Orden himself. If they can't get their 12 appropriations bills, because if you don't know the background, there isn't like one federal budget bill. It's broken up into pieces called appropriations bills. There's 12 of them total. Some pass ahead of others because some need more debate, et cetera, et cetera. They can't do any of that. They passed the one big bloated boondoggle because it wasn't a full federal budget. It was just a roadmap of, trillions of dollars in cuts to make, to give tax cuts to the very wealthy. Big time cuts in Medicaid and in SNAP. SNAP benefits are going to run out this weekend, even though they don't have to, because there's a multi-billion-dollar contingency fund that the Trump administration is refusing to use. They actually want families to go hungry, to put pressure on Democrats to cave in and let Republicans jack up health insurance costs under the Affordable Care Act. And Derrick Van Orden is telling you, well, once we're in control, if we can't get those appropriations bills passed, if we are that dysfunctional, we should not be in the majority. So that's an interesting bit of audio that is not the last time you're going to hear that played. That basically is the 2026 message about how the Republicans have done in Washington so far. Temperatures in Wisconsin range from 23 in Merrill to 43 in Door County. It's 34 in Wausau, 37 in Oshkosh, 34 in La Crosse, and 27 degrees here in the Chippewa Valley. Sharita Booker tells us about trains, wine, and lizards for weekend events. All after the break. I'm Pat Kreitlow. This is the Civic Media Radio Network. Yes, Alicia, we actually that's on Parker's to-do list. We're just going to take that one short snippet. If we can't pass the 12 appropriations bills, then we don't deserve to be in the majority. And that is going to be on repeat because it's that dysfunctional. So, but at least he called it, And I approve this message. Yep.
Awesomeness awaits, courtesy of David J. Frank Landscape. Introducing Fall Porchscapes, professionally designed decor literally delivered to your front door. Installation and removal included. A hassle-free way to bring fall flair to your home or business. And consider a fall cleanup to preserve the beauty and health of your yard. There's more to a good cleanup than raking leaves. Call the experts at David J. Frank at 608-283-9276 or visit davidjfrank.com.
At Hazelden Betty Ford, Treating mental health isn't just about breaking old patterns, it's about braving new ones. As the leader in alcohol and drug treatment for 75 years, we know caring for addiction, anxiety, depression, and trauma goes hand in hand. We're here for you with new tools when life breaks down. Discover your path to better mental health at hazeldenbettyford.org/Wisconsin. Sponsored by Hazelden Betty Ford Foundation.
Seems like nobody in America agrees on much of anything these days.
But can we agree the federal government shouldn't tax people into poverty?
If you work full-time, you should be able to afford your basic needs. Don't you think? We're the patriotic millionaires.
We believe your full-time job should cover what it costs to live. You think your first $45,000 of income should be tax-free.
And multimillionaires?
We should pay more to fund your tax cut. Go to first45taxfree.com to learn more. A working class tax cut paid for by millionaires. That's an idea.
Hey, welcome back on this Thursday morning. Sharita Booker is here, social media manager for Up North News. And, well, we're going to throw a little curve at you. Sharita, first off, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. I'm good. How are you?
Good. We normally talk about events that are coming up this weekend that you might like to attend. But we've discovered something else you might like to attend. Your local Culver's for something brand new that they're offering. What did you tell me they're about to offer?
They will have cheese and mac, aka mac and cheese, beginning November 3rd through December 28th.
Okay. I have, and first off, look, fair disclosure, this is not a commercial for Culver's. They're not paying us or anything. So therefore I feel like I'm entitled or free to say, I'm not the world's biggest fan of Culver's cheese curds. I love all the rest of everything else.
Same. I don't like the breading.
Yes. And so you say that they're doing mac and cheese, or I'm sorry, cheese and mac. And I see that it's going to be, just their pasta in a creamy Wisconsin cheddar cheese sauce topped with extra shredded cheddar cheese. And I'm in, because as I've said several times before, there are a lot of other places, Michigan, Texas, Idaho, other places where mac and cheese as a side is like a real staple. You don't see it quite as much around Wisconsin. And so if Culver's wants to add mac and cheese, however limited, I'm in. I'll go.
Right. Well, we'll have to come back with reviews.
Yeah, exactly. So when does this get started?
November 3rd.
November 3rd. Okay, well, there we go. So next week we'll have to do a food review, see how this works out. All right, so pardon that little detour. Let's get back to this weekend's events here, starting with Train Fest. And as a guy whose dad worked on the Chicago Northwestern Railroad for many years, I am totally in on this. Tell us more.
Yeah, so if you or someone in your house is into trains like Pat, or you really like seeing cool setups, Train Fest is coming back to Milwaukee this Saturday and Sunday at the Barrett Center downtown. They're going to have more than 50 operating train displays, hands-on demos, and a bunch of the major model railroad manufacturers and dealers all in one place. There's also a mini diorama circus activity if you want to try building something small. And they also got a free riding train for the kids. So if you've been thinking about starting a layout, or you've got a kid who loves trains, this is the spot. Kids 12 and under get in free with an adult, which is nice. Adults tickets are $18.95 for Saturday and $13.95 for Sunday, or you can do a 2-day pass for $20. Tickets are on sale now. Just search Train Fest Milwaukee for more info.
I really wanted to have model trains as a kid, and we were just a little too limited in our means to do that, and I always appreciated it. You'd think it would be maybe it's my retirement project. I'm going to have room in the garage or the basement or something. Sherry, if you're listening, we'll talk later. So,
and the grandkids will probably love it.
Oh, would they ever? Yes. So that's the Baird Center this weekend. Trainfest.com has details there. All right, let's go from trains to lizardy type things. What's happening in Madison this weekend?
The Scaled Up Reptile Expo is happening this Sunday at the Madison Marriott West in Middleton. It's a family-friendly event where you can see thousands of snakes, lizards, frogs, tortoises, turtles, and tarantulas all under one roof. You can talk with experienced breeders and keepers, learn how to care for different species, and check out setups if you've been thinking about getting a new pet or upgrading your enclosure. They'll also have a bunch of reptile keeping supplies, feeder insects, frozen feeders, supplements, decor, plants, and more. Admission is $14 if you want to get in early for VIP at 10 a.m. or general admission is $7 and runs from 11 to 3. And kids 5 and under get in free. So for more information, visit scaledupexpos.com/Madison-WI.
Okay, so where are you on reptiles?
It's a no for me. The only reptile that I like is a gecko. They're cute, but I'm scared of stuff like that.
No, it's understandable. I mean, I wouldn't rush out to get a snake or a lizard or a frog or a tarantula myself. I remember going to somebody's house, and this was only a couple of years back. So these are like grown adults, and their basement was filled with aquariums that were filled with larger snakes. And that was just not my jam at all. But
Yeah, I go fishing and we see frogs all the time, and I don't like frogs. I don't like how they look and they freak me out.
all right. So there will be extra room for you. There will not be any Sharita at the Madison Scaled Up Reptile Expo this weekend. Let's get to something much more in some people's ballparks. That would be wine. And there is a wine walk in downtown Lake Geneva this weekend, Sunday only, right?
Yep, only Sunday.
Okay.
And you'll spend the afternoon walking around downtown, stopping in the different shops and sampling wine at nearly 30 different participating spots along the way. It's a really laid back way to explore the area, and you get to support local businesses while you're at it. Tickets are $45, which covers your wine samples, a souvenir glass, snacks, and a map of the stops, and a few discounts at participating shops. If you're just tagging along and don't plan to drink, they have a designated driver ticket for $20, and that includes craft sodas and snacks. Proceeds from the benefit goes to Downtown Lake Geneva Mural Program, so the money goes right back into the community and into more public art downtown. And just a heads up, the wine walk always sells out, so if you want to get your tickets, do it ASAP. You need to be 21 or older, and you'll check in at the bottle shop on Main Street to get your glass and lanyard. Get your tickets at downtownlakegeneva.org/winewalk.
That's great. And of course, there's so much else going on around the state. If you went over to travelwisconsin.com, you'd see things like the Broadhead JCs have a holiday market, Case High School craft and vendor fairs in Racine on Saturday. Marinette has blues, brews, and barbecues, and so much more. So head on over to travelwisconsin.com to learn more about things that are going on in your area, or just go grab some mac and cheese, and we'll all compare notes, Culver's and otherwise, when we get together next week with Sharita Booker, our social media manager here at Up North News. Sharita, thank you very much.
Thanks, Pat.
Oh, I guess I should mention too, in terms of social media, we have new social media accounts just for the radio show on Blue Sky, and yeah, we put it on Twitter, X, whatever it is. Just look up at the little @ symbol PK for Pat Kreitlow Radio Show, PK Radio Show. That's our new account there. Coming up next, our history lesson includes the opening of a Broadway play that definitely made the characters popular. Thanks for spending some time here up on the lake. I'm Pat Kreitlow. The Midwest Farm Report is next here on the Civic Media Radio Network. Popular.
If I wasn't sick right now, I would.
Aren't you better yet?
Nope.
Okay.
I wake up every half hour.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Good. Not good. Not good.
I kept having this dream that this guy was yelling at me that I had to play the music to come back from break. It was really weird.
No idea what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Again, John Heinberg, market advisor with Total Farm Marketing out of West Bend, says, good question.
Obviously, they kind of metered the information out, at least they did in 2018, over a course of weeks by giving you double reports and export sales and things of that nature. So, but still, it's just going to be one of those things where we're going to get a data dump and we got to deal with it.
John Heinberg, market advisor with Total Farm Marketing out of West Bend. He says that data dump will either prove traders' estimates correct or change the direction in the marketplace. Like I said, day 28 and counting since the federal government shut down. Markets and overnight electronic trade, despite the fact that China picked up about 180,000 metric ton of soybeans yesterday, kind of flat. Numbers are next.
As the weather changes, it can start to impact feed quality. Don't let your cows become the victims of the ration roller coaster. Adding Generator Elite to your herd's ration can introduce beneficial microbials that support gut health and help the herd navigate the highs and lows of feed quality, all while using less than an ounce per day per cow. Learn more about Generator Elite at bio-vet.com.
Innovation, that's BioVet.
The Wisconsin Agribusiness Classic is Wisconsin's premier agribusiness industry event, drawing interest and participation from all segments of the industry throughout the Midwestern states. Mark January 13th and 14th down on your calendar to be at the Kalahari Resort and Convention Center in Wisconsin Dells. The depth of coverage and exhibits provided during the conference makes it clear why the Wisconsin Agribusiness Classic is Wisconsin's premier industry event. For more information or to register, visit wiagribusiness.org.
Yesterday, the barrel cheese was unchanged at 182. The 40-pound block cheese was up 1/4 cent at 182.5. Double A butter drifted 3/4 cent lower, 155.5. This morning, the November Class 3 milk that goes into cheese is up 2 at 17.85. The December contract's unchanged at 17.32 a hundredweight. As I mentioned yesterday, the market got confirmation that China purchased 3 cargoes of U.S. soybeans to be delivered between December and January, about 180,000 metric ton of U.S. soybeans. The market's not impressed. This morning, December corn's down a nickel at 4.29, March down a nickel at 4.41. November soybeans are down 14.5, 10.66. January down 15 at 10.79, and July wheat's down 8, 5.59 a bushel. Just a quick market snapshot for you on a Thursday morning. I'm Farm Director Pam Yankee.
You're listening to 92.7 WMDX, Madison's home for the Town Hall Show, weekday afternoons from 2 to 4.
It is going to be partly to mostly cloudy today. We'll get to 54 for a high this afternoon. Tonight, mostly cloudy. We'll drop to 35 for an overnight low. Tomorrow, partly to mostly cloudy with a few showers possible and a high tomorrow right around 53. I'm meteorologist Sean Cable. Outside now, it's 35.
I'm Rick Smith, host of The Rick Smith Show. If you're looking for honest talk, real stories, and straight-up news that matters to you, tune in to The Rick Smith Show. We're digging into the issues that affect your job, your family, your future. Join me weeknights at 9 on the Civic Media Radio Network, because your voice deserves to be heard. That's The Rick Smith Show, heard weeknights at 9 right here on the Civic Media Radio Network.
The Todd Albaugh Show.
Brady Ewing, 2-time Big Ten champion with Wisconsin football.
To hear that the coaches aren't fostering those relationships at the high schools, that has been the heartbeat of the team before Fickle's time. I got recruited other places, but I chose to be a Wisconsin Badger because of what that meant to me. If it means something to you, not just the name on the back, but the name you have on the front of your jersey, that's going to have staying power in today's college athletic landscape.
The Todd Albaugh Show, weekdays 2 to 4.
When the truth is found to be lies, know the joy within you dies. Don't you want somebody to love?
Let us kick off today's history lesson with Grace Slick from Jefferson Airplane, Jefferson Starship, all the band names. She kept her Grace Slick. She's 85 years old today, and again would be one of the first to tell you, surprised to make it to 85. Lived the true rock and roll life from the 60s onward, but again, 85 years old for Grace Slick. Happy birthday to her. Happy birthday to Eddie Holland, part of the legendary songwriting and production team of Holland Dozier Holland, all kinds of Motown hits. There was Baby Love, there was Stop in the Name of Love, Heat Wave, How sweet it is to be loved by you. Well, how about this one right here? There were a lot of hits they wrote for the Supremes. Standing in the Shadows of Love, and so forth and so on. Eddie Holland's still with us at the age of 84. And I was seeing somewhere online that the Motown Museum is expanding in Detroit, and they recently had a bit of a celebration about that. And it included some of the greats that were there. Smokey Robinson, of course. Both Brian and Eddie Holland were there. Otis William, the surviving member of the Temptations, and more. So I've never been to the Motown Museum, so hearing that they're doing an expansion, just all the more reason to look forward to going to that someday.
There you go. More to see, more to do.
Well, because it was based out of basically just a not refurbished, but just a house, in Detroit. And then they turned it into a record studio, and then it became so much more. Speaking of Otis Williams, last surviving member of the Temptations, it's his birthday as well. He's 84 as well. He and Eddie Holland born on the same day. Also, happy birthday to the Eagles' Timothy B. Schmidt. He is 78 years old today.
Now I found you. There's no more emptiness inside. When we're hungry, love will keep us alive.
All right, here comes another one of those birthdays that for some generations it will make their knees buckle. Henry Winkler, the Fonzie from Happy Days, is 80 years old today. Can you just imagine the Fonz still in his leather jacket, but in his rocking chair, and saying, "Hey, the Fonz don't need those Medicare Advantage plans." That would. But he does. I think Henry Winkler does some kind of commercials, if not for Medicare Advantage, then for something else.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. He's pitching. I mean, look, if you're an aging celebrity, there's always something to pitch out there. So I'll take a look for that. Anyway, Henry Winkler, 80 years old. And by the way, so much more than just the Fonz, of course. He's been in so many good shows. What was the most recent one about Barry was the name of it, right? On HBO. He's the acting coach to a serial killer, basically.
You're right, Barry. Yep.
Yeah, it's a good show with who is it from Saturday Night Live? Who's Bill Hader is the lead in this, and Henry Winkler is just really funny. By the way, also underrated in Night Shift, along with Michael Keaton, one of their earliest movies together right after Happy Days. Ivanka Trump, first daughter, is 44 years old today. The second president of the United States, John Adams, was born this day in 1735. Do you have that clip from War of the Worlds?
I do. I don't know if there's a specific part. I just pulled from the front.
Okay. I don't know if I wanted to cue it up to anything. I just noticed that today is the anniversary of Orson Welles' radio adaptation of the H.G. Wells novel War of the Worlds about a Martian invasion. It was played on the radio this day in 1938 and caused panic in some parts of the U.S. So here's a little excerpt from it.
The broadcasting system and its affiliated stations present Orson Welles and the Mercury Theater on the air in The War of the Worlds by H.G. Wells.
Okay, so that was the very beginning of it, and it starts like just a normal radio broadcast with an orchestra, and then they're interrupted with these news bulletins about a UFO, and then a spaceship has landed, and then the Martians attack, and of course there's all the sound effects, and people really believed that there was an invasion by Martians. But as you could tell there, at the front end of the broadcast and in the middle of the broadcast, an announcer did come on to say, this is a play. And yet, enough people either didn't hear it or disregarded it and were calling police stations, and people were getting a little freaked out. Now, it's a little bit apocryphal whether the panic was widespread or if it was just a few random folks who, were freaked out by this. But still, it was a lesson that everybody else in the radio industry never forgot.
Yeah. I always thought that it was like everyone was like, oh God, The world's ending. Run.
I remember hearing, not the original broadcast, don't joke about that, but as a kid, they played it one Halloween night after we got back from trick-or-treating. And I remember listening to it. And again, you knew what it was, but I'm sitting there as like a 10-year-old or whatever it was. I'm like, oh yeah, I could totally see how people get freaked out. I'm getting a little freaked out, and I know that this isn't real, because keep in mind, radio was still relatively new. So and people, and obviously people have tried that with TV as well over the years. But War of the Worlds was kind of the original panic broadcast, if you will. On this day in 1982, the number one song was by a band from Australia. This, of course, would be Men at Work, and it was the group's first number one in the U.S. Who can it be knocking at my door? Who Can It Be Now was the number one song this day, 43 years ago. On this day in 1987, George Michael, fresh off breaking up Wham, released his first solo album, Faith. I'm sure people are here. Oh, the album's named Faith, and it starts off with this nice church organ. This must be very wholesome.
Oh, yeah. Very pretty.
It is very pretty. It's pretty, but the host now suddenly wishes he'd have queued this up to the right moment. But that's okay. We'll just enjoy the organ a little bit longer.
Yeah. Who doesn't like a good organ? Wait a minute.
That's what. Never mind.
Well, I guess it would be nice if I could touch your body.
So anyway, between this song and songs like Father Figure, I Want Your Sex, and more, the album was a little controversial and therefore, of course, went to number one and won the Grammy Award for Album of the Year. On this day 2 years ago, former basketball player Magic Johnson became the fourth athlete to become a billionaire after Michael Jordan, LeBron James, and Tiger Woods, according to Forbes magazine.
Okay. Does this count?
What do you mean?
Because, yes, he was an athlete, but he's not an athlete now. I don't feel like this counts as the same as, like, LeBron James being a billionaire.
Well, I don't think Michael Jordan didn't become a billionaire while he was an active athlete. It was afterwards.
Okay, so he wouldn't count either.
Yeah, no, he does count of athletes who, as athletes and in their retirement, became billionaires.
I don't know.
You only want active athlete billionaires? Is that what we want?
Well, no, I don't want any billionaires.
Oh, yeah, thank you.
I would like these to be two different categories.
Gotcha. All right. It was on this day in 2003 that a new Broadway show premiered at the Gershwin Theater in New York City. It was a musical from Stephen Schwartz, and it was called Wicked, with Idina Menzel and Kristen Chenoweth, with lots of little toe tappers like this one.
Will be popular. You're gonna be popular. I'll teach you the proper poise when you talk to boys. Little ways to flirt and glance. Ooh, I'll show you.
So, Wicked is now going to be back in the movie theaters, part 2 of the movie series. The play, though, that did all right in 2003, winning 2 Tony Awards, a Grammy, and 7 Drama Desk Awards. On this day in 2017, President Trump's former campaign chair, Paul Manafort, and associate Rick Gates were indicted on charges of fraud. Advisor George Papadopoulos pleads guilty to lying to the FBI. Again, pleads guilty to lying to the FBI. And they are all pretty much scot-free now because, again, elect a criminal. You're letting the criminals out of jail. What's on the National Day calendar for this Thursday, October 30th?
Oh, Pat, I know you'll love this. It's Candy Corn Day.
Okay, well, I feel like we've talked that one to death yesterday, but yes, the guy who for years and years and years and years said, I hate candy corn. Candy corn is terrible. It's just a big old mouthful of sugar, is softening his stance now. So,
wow.
I know. What I didn't do yet, what we talked about yesterday, is I said, yeah, you mix it with some peanuts, and you got a salted nut roll. But remember we said yesterday, now add a couple of chocolate chips to the mix and you got a Baby Ruth. So I'm going to try that today, and then I'm going to call my dentist office right away for a cleaning.
You know, there is a candy corn that has chocolate like in it.
That
one I'm not a huge fan of.
No, I don't know if that would work. But I'm willing to experiment. All right, what else we got today?
There we go. It is Mischief Night, which I believe is just the night before Halloween.
Mischief Night.
Mischief Night. So if you're feeling mischievous, Pat.
Okay. I
Go for it.
thought that's what Halloween was, but okay. All right.
You know, whatever.
Good. Okay.
It is also haunted refrigerator. I do have hunted refrigerator there.
No,
but I'm
it's
pretty sure it's a typo.
haunted refrigerator. This has got to be from having really old food in it. Like that kind of haunted, like it's so scary, the stuff that's in there that has expired.
I envisioned that, or it's just like a loud refrigerator.
That could be too. Yes, I get that. So somebody came up with a National Haunted Refrigerator Day.
There you go.
Okay, seems like a bit of a stretch, but yes, there are folks whose refrigerators do indeed become haunted. I recall a couple of times when I was, I would do babysitting as like, a 12, 13-year-old or whatever it was, because you couldn't drive yet. You couldn't go anywhere, so you may as well make money. And so I do some babysitting, and occasionally, you kind of want to raid their fridge. They always say, "Oh, help yourself to whatever." I help myself to a big old plate of mold, or whatever was in there. And gosh, I remember at one point, somebody's fridge was so disgusting. And do you know there's an episode of Big Bang Theory early on where Sheldon convinces Leonard to go into Penny's apartment while she's sleeping to clean it up because the mess bothers him so much.
Yeah.
I look back at that now and realize that may have happened once or twice where I was so disgusted by somebody's fridge. I just went ahead and cleaned it out and figured I was doing them a favor. Now, at no point did I ever get a call going, "What did you do? You touched my fridge, blah, blah, blah." So I'm assuming they were, at first I thought, they must be thankful.
Yeah.
I also think they may have been really embarrassed and never called me again to babysit.
That's
Whatever the reason was, I was looking out for the kids. I'm trying to babysit the kids. You can't have living lab experiments in the fridge when you're raising your chitlins. So, all right. So there you go. Haunted Refrigerator Day today. We'll be talking about a little bit of entertainment news along the way as well. And then coming up in our 7 o'clock hour, we will be discussing Medicare Advantage plans. Some of those can be haunted as well, with an expert on making sure you get the right health coverage for yourself or for an aging parent. I'm Pat Kreitlow. This is the Civic Media Radio Network.
Just not quite as popular as me.
Tony, the real problem was when Pat rolled into strangers' homes to clean fridges. Yes. Every year in the spring, some kids from Kimberly High School play fugitive. We get warned so we don't call the police on kids hiding in our bushes. Yeah, that's always been a thing too. So
I wish I did that. My high school didn't do that. I don't think we ever did, but it also had to do with the fact it was COVID. So
could be that. Yeah. No, we played a lot of, what we called flashlight tag. And so sometimes you'd be running in between people's houses with your flashlights trying to get away from somebody. And at no point as a kid did it occur to me somebody might stand in their back door and shoot me. But that's a real concern these days. So
never know.
Uh-huh. All right. Who's Dove Cameron?
Oh boy.
Was that no boy like I should know, or like you don't know either? Or should it be Dave Cameron?
Oh, it should be Dove Cameron. I think she's a singer as well.
Okay.
She was like a Disney actress.
All right. Well, I got 2 minutes to educate myself.
Yeah. She was big in my youth.
And a poll of CEOs both ranked it 21st. From 2018 to 2025, Wisconsin added 63,300 jobs, ranking 40th nationally, according to the Federal Reserve Bank of Philadelphia. I'm Trisha Young for Wisconsin Watch. Fact briefs are bite-sized fact checks of trending claims produced by Wisconsin Watch and GigaFact. Read more at wisconsinwatch.org.
America is kept safe because the Army National Guard responds, protects, and supports our nation when it needs them most. From fighting wildfires with air support, helping civilians in flooded neighborhoods, to delivering food and supplies to those who have lost everything, the Army National Guard always responds when disaster strikes. The Army National Guard also trains to be ever vigilant against threats, foreign and domestic. They protect our skies with missile defense weaponry. They secure our information, communications, and infrastructure with cybersecurity. And they protect us against chemical, biological, and radiological hazards with the civilian support team. The Army National Guard also stands ready to deploy and provide support for conflicts or humanitarian missions abroad. Join the Army National Guard and be there to respond, protect, and support your community and your country. Visit NationalGuard.com to learn more about part-time service. Sponsored by the Wisconsin Army National Guard. Aired by the Wisconsin Broadcasters Association and this station.
No fear here, just monster savings at Verlo Mattress of Madison. This October, the only thing creeping near your bed is a deal too good to miss. We custom make every mattress so you know exactly what's inside. No tricks, just treats. Save hundreds on mattresses.
Bring us a little, what you bring us? A little dirty work, a little Steely Dan here, coming back into the break, Mr.
Yeah, a
Olson?
little bit. Just a little
Okay.
bit.
All right.
The man behind the curtain suggested it.
I see. Oh, okay. You know why that might be in part. It's one that I did not get into the history lesson in time, but Donald Fagen from Steely Dan, he released his debut solo album, The Nightfly, 43 years ago this week.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. There's your little yacht rock moment for the day.
There you go. That's some dumb luck on my part because I had no idea.
Sometimes again, never underestimate yacht rock. The forces of music will sometimes work in your favor. Moving on to other entertainment news on this Thursday morning. That's your cue. There you go.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah.
Okay.
Sometimes you need to take a big breath. 'Cause,
Okay. Well, you
you-
tell you what, you take that big breath. I'll remind folks it's 23 in Merrill right now, 27 in Eau Claire. Bundle the kids up, 34 in La Crosse, 39 in Oshkosh. Parker's ready to exhale and share with us some entertainment news.
Pat, Dove Cameron. I don't know if you know who she is.
I have literally no idea. No.
Beautiful. Awesome. It is great to be on this side of that.
Of the
whole dichotomy
generational
here.
divide.
Yeah,
All
this
right.
is a rare one on this like half hour worth of the show.
All right.
Dove Cameron, she was popular from her time as an actress on Disney. She's engaged to, is it Damiano David?
You're asking me?
I don't know. How do you say? I don't know how to say the name of the band either. Is it Manskin? Mainskin?
I hate leaving you out here like this, but I am literally thinking you might be making all this up at this point.
I suppose I have said 0 words that make sense to you so far in this.
Let's see here. It says here on the interwebs that Cameron was dating Italian singer Damiano David. Okay,
Yeah,
I guess. And yes, it might be Manskin. It's got one of those funny little European symbols over it, so it might be pronounced something entirely different. But
See, that's the thing with those European bands.
yes, and Dove Cameron, apparently I would know from the Disney Channel series Liv and Maddie, and then was in the Descendants film franchise, and then has been in a few other TV shows like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
If I remember right, Liv and Maddie was actually like the setting was in Stevens Point, if I remember right.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. All
I'm
right.
pretty sure.
Huh. All right.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay. Let's try another one.
Let's try another one. Let's go to Luigi Mangione, the guy
Who killed the CEO of United Healthcare.
Yes.
He's in entertainment news now. All right.
He's in entertainment news because apparently a fake list of like his favorite artists went viral, and he was not a fan of that, and he started listening to music, and apparently he's become a big fan of Charlie XCX and Taylor Swift.
Okay, I actually saw this last night on TMZ, where they were talking about, this guy's his playlist, walking around the yard in the prison.
Yeah.
And first off, I'm still coming back to the root of we're doing news stories about this guy. Now, again, I'm telling you, we're going to be talking in the 7:00 hour about those terrible, terrible people at the health insurance companies. So I get the anger. I get the frustration. I'm not going to go so far as to endorse murder, but clearly enough people want to consider this guy, if not a celebrity, a hero, whatever, that we now care what his playlist is in the prison yard. And that Tay-Tay might be part of it. All right. So I give up. I cannot make myself care. I cannot make myself care about what he's listening to any more than he cares about what I'm listening to. So what's next?
Fair enough. We've got Jennifer Lawrence. Pat, I don't know how much you hate watching yourself or how much you hate listening to yourself or how much you used to, because I do. I hate watching myself.
You hate watching me and listening to me? Yeah, I get it totally. But what does she say? Is she watching or listening to us or
She's
to
not watching
herself?
us. Every now and then she sees clips of her in like old interviews and she hates watching herself. She called herself really annoying.
She called herself really annoying.
Yeah.
Jennifer Lawrence is wonderful. I really like her. And I get the sentiment because yes, nobody likes to look back on their stuff, and you should not be judging your old stuff too harshly. Eventually what you're going to end up doing is you're going to look back and you're going to kind of be more, you're going to kind of romanticize the past instead. And what I mean by that is every year at some point I'll see a picture of myself and I'll go, ugh, oh God, I should not allow anybody to take pictures of me anymore. Without fail, fast forward, I don't know, 3-4 years or so, you're going to see a picture of yourself and go, ugh. And then you're going to see this picture from like 3-4 years ago. And you're going to go, see, I looked so much better back then. Look, I looked better. But at the time, I certainly didn't think so. But now I'm like, oh gosh, I looked much better back then. That's not what you thought at the time then, Butterball. All right. So, let's not be too hard on ourselves. Let's not romanticize, the past either. It just is what it is. And she was wonderful back then and she's wonderful now. And
Okay.
she's I think she's got a little bit more self-confidence than she's letting on there, but I appreciate the attempts at modesty.
Fair enough.
All right. Got anything else?
I don't know if you were watching much of the World Series last night, but apparently Prince Harry and Meghan Markle were there and they got booed.
They
very
got
loudly.
booed. Yes, they did, which I don't
think that's
know.
warranted.
It's probably not, but I mean, some people really don't like Harry and Meghan. And I just don't know enough. I don't care enough, frankly, but just booing almost anybody.
I was
can
going
think
to
of
say anybody.
There's a few people, but I wouldn't have put Harry and Meghan in there. But again, it's baseball. You've got some people who want to watch their sports and their beer and they don't want to see celebrities. And so I think that Harry and Meghan will be okay. I think they'll get over it. Coming up in our next hour, a very exhaustive Marquette poll talks about how Wisconsinites feel about the issues and the candidates. Spoiler alert, they don't know enough about the candidates yet. They're like, it's way too early, please. But we'll talk about that after the news. I'm Pat Kreitlow. This is the Civic Media Radio Network.
Madison's home for real news and great conversation. A Civic Media station.
ABC News, I'm Sherry Preston. The deal President Trump had been seeking with China has apparently been reached. ABC's Rachel Scott's traveling with him in South Korea.
The president walked out of this nearly 2-hour-long meeting with Chinese President Xi to announce that a trade deal has been reached. The president had threatened a 100% additional tariffs on Chinese imports, which would have raised the cost on everything from clothes to electronics.
China's agreed to buy more American soybeans as a part of the deal and to lower export controls on the rare earth minerals it sells to the U.S. 5 more people are now in custody. That makes 7 in all for the Louvre jewelry heist, but the jewels are still missing. There was a deadly barrage in Ukraine overnight. More than 600 drones and missiles fired from Russia all across the country. President Zelensky says many of them were shot down, but some did get through. At least 30 deaths across the Caribbean from Hurricane Melissa. And this is day 30 of the federal government shutdown. Government workers still not getting paid. This is ABC News.
Madison, Wisconsin. Students, government, lakes, and 92.7 WMDX.
For 92.7 WMDX News, I'm Savannah Tomei Olson. Fewer Wisconsinites have gotten their flu shot this year. Lisa Hale reports.
Did you get your flu shot yet? Wisconsin Department of Health Services officials say there's been a significant drop in the number of residents who've received their flu shot this year. According to DHS data, only about 309,000 Wisconsinites have gotten their flu shot so far in the month of October. Last October, that number was nearly 860,000. DHS officials are encouraging residents to get their flu shot as soon as possible as winter weather begins to move into the state and respiratory viruses start to become more common again.
Many doctors recommend flu before boo, as in get your shot before Halloween. Speaking of, as you're making your plans for tomorrow, many Dane County communities have trick-or-treating hours. Madison is not one of them. The city does not put out suggested trick-or-treating times. Here are some other cities, though. In Fitchburg, it's 4 to 7. In Verona, it's 5 to 8. And in Middleton, Sun Prairie, and Waunakee, it's 5 to 7. And after trick-or-treating, we change the clocks. Here's meteorologist Brittany Merlot.
On Sunday, we get an extra hour of sleep when the clocks fall back an hour at 2 a.m., resulting in earlier sunrises and earlier sunsets. While this change gives us an extra hour of sleep, the time difference can still cause confusion and disruptions to the schedules for kids and pets. The Journal of Clinical Sleep Medicine says the shift in time change has been associated with increased heart attacks, strokes, abnormal heart rhythms, sleep disruption, mood disturbances, and even suicide. People tend to feel more tired with the less light. A common chemical that regulates that is called serotonin, and that comes from the sun. So it's important to increase your exposure to sunlight during the day, especially in the morning. I'm meteorologist Brittany Merlot.
And I'm Savannah Tomei Olson, 92.7 WMDX News.
A big game for the Bucks. Hi, I'm Mike Clemens with Sports NBA. The Bucks against Steph Curry and the Golden State Warriors tonight at Fiserv Forum. Milwaukee's 3-1 after beating the Knicks Tuesday night. Golden State at 4-1. College hoops. The Badgers men's team over the UW Platteville Pioneers 69-53 in a charity exhibition game at the Kohl Center. NFL, Jordan Love named NFC Offensive Player of the Week after throwing 20 consecutive completions Sunday night. That tied a team record set by Brett Favre in 2007. Baseball, Blue Jays beating the Dodgers 6-1 in the World Series to go up 3-2. Trey Yesavage on the mound, striking out 12 batters, breaking a record for a rookie in the World Series since Sandy Koufax in 1963, who was sitting in the stands.
Historic stuff. That stage and his numbers. It's one thing to be in the zone, and it's another thing to be in the zone and get some swing and miss.
That's Blue Jays manager John Schneider with Sports on Mike Clemens.
92.7 WMDX, Madison's real news and great conversation, and home to the Todd Allball Show, Monday through Friday from 2 to 4.
It is going to be partly to mostly cloudy today. We'll get to 54 for a high this afternoon. Tonight, mostly cloudy. We'll drop to 35 for an overnight low. Tomorrow, partly to mostly cloudy with a few showers possible and a high tomorrow right around 53. I'm meteorologist Sean Cable. Outside now, it's 35.
Join me, Tom Hartman, each and every weekday from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. for the Tom Hartman program right here on Civic Media. I talk about the issues that all Wisconsinites can get behind, from unrigging our economy so it works for all of us, not just the billionaire class, to improving our representative government, to delivering on the promise of we the people. Tune in middays right here on your local Civic Media station from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. for the Tom Hartman program. Tag, you're it.
This is Robert Pilot of Native Roots Radio. On our show, we share stories from Turtle Island, highlighting the people and issues shaping our communities. From protecting water to treaty.
Saw a picture of Tom Hartman for the first time the other day, and somehow he's exactly what I thought he would look like.
Was he hugging a tree? Was he wearing Birkenstocks? Was he weaving a hemp basket?
Possibly. I guess I didn't look that close.
There wouldn't be stereotypes if some people did insist on living up to them. All right, here we go.
Live across Wisconsin on Civic Media, you're listening to Mornings with Pat Kreitlow, powered by Up North News. Now, from our Lake Wissota studio, here is the founding editor of Up North News, Pat Kreitlow.
Hey, good morning. It is 7:06. Nice to have you back here up north on a Thursday morning, October 30th, 2025. Parker Olson producing things down in Madison Studio A2. Coming up, we will have an expert on Medicare Advantage plans. It might not be for you, but it might be for an aging parent who's considering one of these so-called Medicare Advantage plans as opposed to traditional Medicare. Oh, is there a difference? You might want to get a little educated on that. We're going to try to do that for you coming up at the bottom of the hour. We will talk about some new extensive polling through the Marquette poll. Not your usual horse race numbers about candidates, but more about what people in Wisconsin think about the issues. And at some point, we'll talk about the UW-Eau Claire College Republicans and a stunt they pulled, and just how sick I am of the feigned outrage when racist activity gets called out. You know, it used to be just your crazy uncle, or I'm sorry, your eccentric uncle, who would start everything with, "I'm not a racist, but," and then they'd go on and on and on. That seems to have infected a larger part of society. Like, oh, it's not racist to, dress up as an ICE officer, and then somebody else dresses up as a Mexican and a woman, and you're arresting this person. There's nothing racist about that. Please tell me you don't really believe that. Anyway, 855-75-CIVIC is the number, 855-752-4842. You can use the Civic Media app as well. You can call us or text us. You can leave a voice note as well. And now we've got new accounts on social media just dedicated to the show. So I will say that there are Civic Media social media channels, on Facebook and Twitter and all that. Up North News, of course, has a Facebook page. There's also, again, Twitter and Instagram and all of that. But now, just for this fine little radio show, we've created an account on Blue Sky for all the nice people that want to follow us. And we also create an account on what used to be Twitter X for people that just want to scream at each other or whatever it has become. In both cases, they have character limits on their names. So like you can go to Facebook and you can look up our show page there. Just look up Mornings with Pat Kreitlow. That's the name of the Facebook page, Mornings with Pat Kreitlow. That doesn't all fit in Twitter or Blue Sky. So it's PK Radio Show. Again, PK for Pat Kreitlow, PK Radio Show. And that's how you find us on Blue Sky and Twitter, X, whatever it is, where we will put up show clips and invite you to interact with us there. But of course, you can just do it in the comment sections of Facebook and YouTube while you're watching the show. Or you can send us an email if you're old fashioned like that, radio at upnorthnewswi.com. In sports, we had the Wisconsin Badger men's basketball team, Parker, defeating Platteville last tune-up before the regular season begins. 69-53 was the final. You were saying that the Badger men didn't look as dominant as you thought they might have going up against a WIAC school?
No, yeah, Platteville kind of gave them a little bit of a hard time at the first half or so. I do think it's probably worth pointing out, though, that it is not entirely unheard of for a Division III school to actually do like really well and beat Division I schools sometimes.
Oh, right. Yeah.
It's probably not quite as true for a major team like the Badgers, but it certainly happens. You see it a lot. Men's and women's basketball.
But Platteville, they're no schleps. I mean, they're capable of providing at least a little bit of a fight. And so I think when we refer to this as a final tune-up before the regular season, I think that's the right way to put it. They see this team and go, all right, well, before we take on fellow Division I teams like the Fighting Camels of Campbell University next Monday, we better get ourselves ready. So it looks like they finally did. And in the World Series, the Toronto Blue Jays beat the Los Angeles Dodgers 6-1 to lead the World Series 3-2. So the World Series goes back to Toronto for Game 6 tomorrow, where Toronto could seal the deal. Or if the Dodgers win, there will be a deciding 7th game, I'm assuming on Saturday as well. And then that will wrap up the baseball season for 2025. Now we can get into anticipating 2026, which is part happiness and part which players are we going to lose to free agency and things like that.
Yeah, I don't remember who I read it from, but I read somebody say the other day that they like really think that the Brewers could be onto something and like really investing in the future right now and have a really good 5-year span coming up here.
I sure hope so. I don't want to hear, the rebuilding thing. Nobody rebuilds. You either have the right people or you don't. And sometimes they're because of a heavy payroll with a lot of experience, and sometimes they're young and just really good because you did a good job of scouting. And hopefully that's where the Brewers are on that. But first, we got to get through the rest of the World Series Friday and perhaps Saturday as well. All right, there's a new Marquette poll out. And as you know, during the height of election campaigns, I tend to not get too worked up over polling because polling can be all over the place. Again, a good reputable A good reputable polling company works hard to have a representative sample, a good cross-section of the public. But even then, it's sometimes tough to match with how the results are going to turn out on election day. So I don't emphasize it as much there. But in this case, we are so far away from the election that it's a lot about familiarity with candidates and familiarity with issues that I thought some of these were interesting enough to share. The Marquette poll interviewed 846 Wisconsin registered voters from October 15th to the 22nd, and a margin of error of 4.5 percentage points. And I'm going to stop right there just to say this is how much polling has changed now from the olden days. In the olden days, you would do a poll in one night and you would get that representative sample because everybody had landlines, everybody answered their phone. And, a lot of people talk to that. Now nobody answers their phone if they don't know who it is. And that's why it took a week just to get 846 registered voters in Wisconsin to answer the phone and answer these poll questions. So the margin of error, 4.5 percentage points, seems a little broad, but that's kind of the nature of polling these days in the cell phone era. Anyway, this new poll finds that a large majority of both Democrats and Republicans have not decided on a favorite candidate for governor for next year. No big surprise. In fact, only 6% say they have heard a lot about the 2026 campaigns for governor. I would include every one of you listening right now. You're probably hearing more about the 2026 governor's race than almost anybody else, including some of the people who are running for governor. But you are familiar. You've heard all of these names that I'm going to be talking about. And as far as recognition goes, now this is recognition, not support. In terms of recognition, Milwaukee County Executive David Crowley is tops on the list at 26%. Lieutenant Governor Sarah Rodriguez at 25%. State Representative Francesca Hong at 22%. State Senator Kelda Roy's at 17%. Now, these all make sense because they're from the Milwaukee or the Madison areas. Then you've got lawyer Missy Hughes at 16% and others lower than that. But now you ask them, well, do you have a favorite? Do you have a candidate you would vote for next August in the primary for governor? Well, among the Democratic voters, 81% said no. 4 out of 5 said no. We're practically a year away from the primary. What are we talking about? However, of those that do have a preference, well, if you get the emails from State Representative Francesca Hong, you've seen the subject line, Francesca Hong in first place in polling for governor at 6%. And Lieutenant Governor Sarah Rodriguez at 4%. David Crowley at 3%. Senator Kelda Roy's at 3%. Missy Hughes at 2%. But again, 81% are undecided. So if you're Francesca Hong, you take the little victories where you can because you have both recognition and support from people. And if you're some of those other candidates, Lieutenant Governor Sarah Rodriguez, Milwaukee County Executive David Crowley, State Senator Kelda Roy's, you know that you got a little bit more work to do to build your recognition and build people who will actually commit to say, This is my person for next August. There will, of course, be a Wisconsin State Supreme Court race in April 1st next year. And the two candidates there have very little name recognition. There's Waukesha Appeals Court Judge Maria Lazar, who has 15% name recognition, mostly among conservatives, I would imagine. And Madison Appeals Court Judge Chris Taylor, 16% public recognition. Again, I would assume mostly by liberals and progressives. However, despite the lack of knowledge about the candidates, 7 out of 10 voters said they are absolutely certain to vote in April when that Supreme Court seat will be on the ballot. When people say, why do you love living in Wisconsin? Well, I mean, it's the fall colors, it's the lakes, it's all the sights, it's the cheese, it's the old fashions, but it's also the fact that we have people all around us who will tell you, I don't know much about the state Supreme Court race yet, but I know it's important enough that I'm going to vote. I'm going to learn about the candidates as we get closer to election, and I'm going to vote. That is a level of civic engagement that you do not find in all 50 states. And I love that about this state, that people actually do care. They care enough to want to learn about the issues and the candidates and go vote. They don't all do it, and I don't agree with all of them, but they at least take the time to do it. On national issues, will President Donald Trump's policies increase inflation? 57% say yes, while 30% say his policies will decrease inflation. Okay. And 12% say they'll have no impact. There are, of course, substantial partisan differences. 60% of Republicans say Trump's policies will decrease inflation, which again tells you there is a very broad and effective right-wing media bubble in this country. Meanwhile, obviously 96% of Democrats think his policies will increase inflation, but what about independents? 69%. 7 out of 10 independents look at what the president's doing and understand that it is increasing inflation. Now, Trump does have his supporters. There are 33% out there who say the tariffs will help the economy. 55% say it will hurt the economy. And once again, you've got a majority of independents who say, no, tariffs hurt the economy. Asked if tariffs are helping or hurting Wisconsin farmers, well, 16% say they are helping Wisconsin farmers. That is truly Donald Trump's base right there. The 16% who say that tariffs are helping the farmers. 62% understand that they are hurting farmers. Overall, voters are evenly divided over which party is most responsible for the shutdown of the federal government, which again tells you that right-wing messaging is effective. I'm not really happy with the wording of the response here by the Marquette poll people, because they lead saying 33% say it's the Democrats, but it's 38% who say the Republicans. So I don't know why the Republicans weren't listed first. 38% Republican, 33% Democrat, 28% saying both parties are equally responsible. Now, at the heart of the shutdown, should the increased tax credits that help pay for health insurance through the Affordable Care Act marketplace be extended? 58% of respondents in Wisconsin say yes. It's basically a 60-40 split. Obviously, more Republicans believe the credits for health insurance should expire. These are also folks who have not yet had to go through what so many others have gone through and understand the importance of having these premium tax credits continue to keep health insurance affordable. We will talk more about the affordability of health insurance with an expert about Medicare Advantage plans coming up in 15 minutes. From the heart of America's up north, live from Lake Wissota, thanks for making this the place to spend part of your mornings. I'm Pat Kreitlow. This is the Civic Media Radio Network.
The weather has opinions.
Get monster savings during October at Verlo Mattress of Madison. Save hundreds off mattresses, platforms, bed frames, sheets, pillows, and plenty more. American-made, locally crafted. Check out monster savings all month long at Verlo Mattress of Madison.
Looking to grow a career? David J. Frank Landscaping is hiring. Enjoy competitive wages, opportunities for professional growth, and a supportive team environment. No experience necessary. Yes, David J. Frank provides paid training. Enjoy the benefits of working at one of the top green industry companies in the country. If you're just looking to make some money on the side, David J. Frank is also hiring for snow removal. Call 608-283-9276 or visit davidjfrank.com/jobs and see if this is the team for you.
At Hazelden Betty Ford, treating mental health isn't just about breaking old patterns, it's about braving new ones. As the leader in alcohol and drug treatment for 75 years, we know caring for addiction, anxiety, depression, and trauma goes hand in hand. We're here for you with new tools when life breaks down. Discover your path to better mental health at hazeldenbettyford.org/Wisconsin. Sponsored by Hazelden Betty Ford Foundation.
It's the Eco Minute, powered by Clean Wisconsin, your environmental voice since 1970. I'm Amy Barrio. Air pollution leads to higher rates of breast cancer. According to a new study from researchers in Oregon, they found women living in areas with heavy emissions from cars and trucks are more likely to develop breast cancer. The Trump administration recently rescinded EPA rules meant to reduce vehicle emissions. Wisconsin's small farming communities bracing for the end of federal food share benefits. Not only do thousands of rural residents rely on federal food assistance, about $120 million of Wisconsin's food share benefits are spent at local farmers markets. Bragging rights for Wisconsin apples. An organic orchard in Washington County named one of the top 10 apple orchards in the country by USA Today.
It's not just chilly, it's cold out there right now. 23 degrees up in Merrill right now, 25 here in the Chippewa Valley. La Crosse is at 36 degrees. Oshkosh, you're at 39 right now. It's 34 in Wausau. So while it's that cold out here, to remind you that hockey season is underway, and you can follow every game from the Wisconsin Badger men's hockey team. They are taking on the Minnesota Gophers tonight. Coverage begins at 7:30 on WFHR in Wisconsin Rapids. And if memory serves, I believe Jimmy Kuska was telling us all about how Civic Media has recently expanded and has added some stations in the Michigan Upper Peninsula. So if you're up in the UP close to Ironwood, it turns out that WJMS in Ironwood is now a member of the Civic Media family, and they too will be covering all the Badger sports, including the Badger men's hockey game, come Thursday. Packers, by the way, play on Sunday against the Carolina Panthers. That's a noon kickoff, so the pregame coverage begins at 10 a.m. on Civic Media stations in Richland Center, Park Falls, Wautoma, and Racine. Head over to civicmedia.us to learn more. Well, as mentioned at UW-Eau Claire, the college Republicans recently put on a Halloween costume contest, which, again, it seems like every Halloween there's somebody that does, something in blackface or something where they go, wait, what do you mean? Why? These are folks that watched way too much and listened to way too much Megyn Kelly. The one who told you that, of course, Jesus Christ and Santa Claus are white men, and don't see anything wrong with positions like that, or costumes like the one that they posted on Instagram of one student dressed as an ICE agent and is seen arresting a woman dressed as a stereotypical Latino immigrant with handcuffing her with her hands behind her back. Needless to say that there are people upset about trivializing what has really turned out to be a series of unlawful arrests and detentions and conduct that is way beyond the scope of typical law enforcement in terms of arresting people without cause, without warrants, arresting them violently without cause, arresting citizens, detaining them, racial profiling. None of these things should be celebrated. But of course, they are being celebrated by a certain faction of the population. And that's a little unfortunate. UW-Eau Claire, unfortunately, put out a rather vanilla statement saying UW-Eau Claire is aware of the incident that occurred Monday evening that involved Halloween costumes worn by individuals at a student organization meeting on campus. The event was not organized by the university. Well, yeah, we know. We're not expecting that the university instructed the college Republicans to engage in, race baiting photographs. You could still condemn it just the same. But, to be fair, I'll read you the statement from Fred Kappas, chair of the Eau Claire County Republican Party, who called it feigned outrage. He said, "What I saw and experienced was this group of responsible college students having a good time. There was no hateful and unsafe rhetoric displayed by the college Republicans." He says the motivation by Democrats, of course, is to smear, besmirch, and portray these conservative students as racists. A typical Democrat tactic. Your feigned outrage is very transparent. Here's the thing. You can feign outrage at being accused of racism. It doesn't make the look any better for the things that you engage in. Look, if you want to celebrate what people in your political party are doing, if you want to wave, like at the convention last year, if you want to all wave the same sign that says mass deportations now, that's your prerogative. It's also the prerogative of pretty much every other right-thinking American to look at thousands of people waving signs that say mass deportations now and say, we got a race problem in this country, a racism problem in this country, that we're looking to just racially profile people and mock them with Halloween costumes as well. Because again, it was the people waving the sign saying mass deportations now that have told us the problem is border security and the problem is the immigration system. To which everybody else, independents, Democrats, said, yeah, let's fix that. Let's fix this problem because we actually need and value immigrants in this country. Our economy needs immigrant labor. Our future needs immigrant labor as the baby boomers continue to exit the stage. And y'all said no. Said no, we don't want to fix immigration. We want to round up as many brown-skinned people as we can. Now, in the beginning, we're going to tell you that it's all about getting the terrorists and getting the narco dealers and getting the fentanyl. But once again, we're going after Maria from housekeeping, and we're going to celebrate that. And maybe she's got kids who were born in this country, and we're still going to ship them out of the country despite them being citizens. You can celebrate that all you want, but the record is clear. We could have fixed the system, and you said no. You elected somebody who vowed not to fix the system, who is moving all kinds of our tax dollars away from fighting violent crime to simply rounding up people based on race and skin color and either harassing them, detaining them, and even sending them out of the country, not necessarily to the country where they came from, which in and of itself is cruel and barbaric. So if folks get a little unhappy that you decide to celebrate that with a little bit of a racist play with Halloween costumes, you'll have to understand that maybe you can go back to, some other kinds of ghosts and goblins and skeletons and the things that are a bit more traditional toward Halloween. You can keep your race baiting politics out of this, please. When we come back, we're going to talk about Medicare Advantage plans and what people need to know if they're looking for plans for themselves or if they are caregivers or adult children for aging parents. That's coming up. And then in our next hour, Sean O'Malley, Joe Zepecki, Chad Holmes, and more. I'm Pat Kreitlow. This is the Civic Media Radio Network.
The headline.
92.7 WMDX, Madison's real news and great conversation, and home to the Todd Allball Show, Monday through Friday from 2 to 4.
28 days and counting. That's how long the federal government has been shut down, tying up not only federal agencies like the U.S. Department of Agriculture, but also policy advancement like a new farm bill. I'm Pam Yonke with a quick update on what's happening in food and farming news on a Thursday. The National Farmers Union thinks that the farm bill can cross the finish line yet this year. Details on that next.
From sugar beet fields to dairy facilities, producers count on an operating line of credit from Ag Country Farm Credit Services to help make their operations more profitable. With multi-year commitment options, digital tools, and remote...
Well, good morning, Ingrid. How are you?
I'm fine, thanks. How are you?
Good. Thank you so much for being here. How are you this morning?
I'm doing all right, thanks.
All right. Good deal. Let me just get over to that part of my notes here so that I get this all done right. Fraud and Abuse Programs Manager for the Greater Wisconsin Agency on Aging Resources.
That is correct.
All right. Sounds good. I'm going to put that into the on-screen notes here. Let me pop this up full. Yep. You sound clear. You look good. I think we're in good shape here. So I'm sure you've heard a lot of these questions 100 times before, but is there anything that you want to specifically start with, or should we just start with the overview of Medicare Advantage versus Medicare and then get into what people need to know?
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, the role of Senior Medicare Patrol is primarily to help people stay safe from fraud and abuse. So unfortunately, there's a lot of that happens during open enrollment just because there's a lot of information out there. People are confused or not quite sure. So yeah, we can start wherever you'd like to start and go from there.
All right. Sounds good. Well, we've got 3 minutes left in this break, so I'll tuck you back in the waiting room so you can make whatever noise you want. I'm going to get some more coffee, and then we'll bring you back up at the end of the commercial break and get going.
All right. Sounds great. Thank you.
Yep. See you soon.
This year or early in 2026 to still get something done on the rest of the farm bill.
At Channel, we always show up for our farmers. Is that tar spot or rust?
Incoming!
Definitely rust.
Rick, how did you? Dropping in to check on your crop, Bill. Let's call your agronomist before that rust can hurt your yield.
That sounds great, but when did you learn to skydive?
Self-taught, Bill. Kind of a prodigy.
From personalized insights to year-round support, Channel Seed Pros always show up. Visit channel.com to learn more. Channel, all in, all season. Read and follow pesticide label directions, grain marketing, and other stewardship practices.
And 10 Wisconsin FFA members are continuing in competition at the National FFA Convention in Indianapolis. They are now a part of the final phase of evaluation for National Agricultural Proficiency Awards. You want to follow along? FFA.org has the latest update. There's your look at food news. I'm Pam Yonke.
Mad City, biking through blizzards since forever. 92.7 WMDX.
It is going to be partly to mostly cloudy today. We'll get to 54 for a high this afternoon. Tonight, mostly cloudy. We'll drop to 35 for an overnight low. Tomorrow, partly to mostly cloudy with a few showers possible and a high tomorrow right around 53. I'm meteorologist Sean Cable. Outside now, it's 35.
No fear here, just monster savings at Verlo Mattress of Madison. This October, the only thing creeping near your bed is a deal too good to miss. We custom make every mattress so you know exactly what's inside. No tricks, just treats. Save hundreds on mattresses, foundations, headboards, sheets, and more. Monster savings at Verlo Mattress of Madison. Upgrade your bedroom and unleash the sleep of your dreams. American made, locally crafted, Verlo. Hurry in before these monster savings vanish. Verlo Mattress of Madison.
Doctors Without Borders is delivering life-saving medical care where it's needed most in communities around the world. From bandaging war-wounded patients in Sudan to providing clean drinking water in Haiti, we're in more than 70 countries worldwide.
30 seconds until we're back.
Welcome back at 7:35 on this Thursday. Remember, you can sign up for our daily newsletter. Head over to upnorthnewswi.com. In today's edition, it includes more of your favorite photos of Halloween decorations. We talk about your favorite Halloween candy. There's also a link where you can help with food banks that need to stock their shelves with SNAP benefits running dry during the government shutdown. And there's an article there today on Wisconsin farms where you can spend the night as part of agritourism. Again, for that and more, subscribe to our newsletters. Head over to upnorthnewswi.com to learn more about the weekday newsletters and our weekend newsletter as well. All right, let's talk healthcare policy. Okay, I heard everybody going for the radio dial. Don't do that yet. When we talk about healthcare policy, making sure that you can afford to get sick, we want to make sure we draw a distinction of what we're talking about here. Medicare, which is for seniors by and large, versus the Affordable Care Act, aka Obamacare, which is the health insurance coverage that you can buy through the marketplace. That's kind of at the heart of the government shutdown, and we've covered that before, and we'll come back to it. But this is primarily about Medicare. So there is also an open enrollment period going on right now for Medicare, especially for people who, instead of being part of original Medicare, want to purchase health insurance through a private insurance company through something called Medicare Advantage, which says it covers a few more things, and it might, but there are also other things to be mindful of when you're comparing these Medicare Advantage plans to traditional Medicare, either for yourself or maybe for an aging parent or somebody that you're a caregiver for. And this time of year, there's always people who are either choosing a plan for the first time, or they've been on a plan and that plan is being dropped or modified and they want to compare plans again. And they don't want to get ripped off in the process because there are also scammers out there. And so to that end, we wanted to find somebody that could tell us about, the best way to go about all of these things. And that's where we found Ingrid Cunninger, who is a fraud and abuse programs manager for the Greater Wisconsin Agency on Aging Resources, and also something called the Senior Medicare Patrol. And she joins us this morning. Ingrid, good morning. Thank you for being here.
Good morning. Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, it's a pleasure having you here to talk more about this, because it can be, so very confusing. You know this firsthand. I hesitate to wonder how many people have just given you that look like, just please help me pick something. It is so convoluted. So let's start at the very beginning here before we can get into Medicare Advantage. Do you want to add anything to my distinction between original Medicare versus these Medicare Advantage plans?
No, I think you did a great job of outlining that. It's really important for people to understand that they do have a choice and there is a difference. Oftentimes when we're talking to people who are already enrolled in either original Medicare or have a Medicare Advantage plan, they're not even really sure what plan they chose or what's going on. Just like you said, it's complex. There's a lot of ins and outs about that, and it's not always easy to understand. So it's just really important for people to take the time to learn more about all of their options. And right now is a great time to do that.
And people who are first eligible for Medicare, they hear about, traditional Medicare or original Medicare. And there's a lot that it covers, but there are also significant things that it doesn't cover because, like prescription drugs, there are a lot more prescription drugs now than there were 60 years ago when this all first got started, when prescription drug costs, they weren't nearly the same concern 60 years ago, were they?
No, absolutely. You're absolutely right. There are definitely a lot more medications as well as diagnoses that people have that require additional treatment and therapies that, Medicare, original Medicare or traditional Medicare may or may not cover.
And so that's what led to the creation of Medicare Part D to help cover these things. But there was also then the creation of, so-called Medicare Advantage for these private insurance companies to bring plans in. What are the kinds of things, on the pro side of the ledger? What are the things that they tout as reasons why you might pick a Medicare Advantage policy over original Medicare?
Sure. I think some of the things that they tout are things that you mentioned. Medicare, original Medicare doesn't cover certain things, and Medicare Advantage plans, because they're able to privatize that, are able to offer additional benefits. So oftentimes, dental insurance might be an additional benefit in a Medicare Advantage plan, or hearing aids, those sorts of things that impact older adults, or that older adults are often looking for or needing assistance with. And sometimes those Medicare Advantage plans do offer those additional benefits.
Yeah, there's vision. There's sometimes discounts for fitness programs and gym memberships. I mean, there's a lot of commercials out there on the TV this time of year, Ingrid, touting all the things that make their plans so wonderful and so worthy of choosing. But of course, what they're not going to put in the commercials is that there's also, on the other side of the ledger, there may be certain restrictions. What are the things that people should be most cautious of or do their homework about when it comes to the things they don't talk about on the TV commercials?
Absolutely. We always say if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. So as all of these television commercials are touting all of these great benefits, there's also teeny tiny fine print scrolling at the bottom that outlines a lot of things that aren't covered, or outlines additional eligibility requirements that people might not be aware of while they're considering that plan. So it is really important to read the fine print or get more information about those plans that kind of pique your interest or seem to have some benefits that you think would be beneficial to you and your healthcare in the coming year. And just to be really careful about those things, because oftentimes people don't read the fine print or don't realize that. And if you're working with, a large insurance broker from who knows where, not anyone local, they may or may not have your best interest in mind. And they may not point out to you that you'll have to choose a different network of doctors, or the medications that you're currently taking won't be covered or will be more expensive to you in the coming year. And oftentimes people don't realize that until they go to the doctor for the first time in the next year, or go to the pharmacy to get prescriptions refilled, and suddenly are stuck with bills that they weren't anticipating and hadn't planned to have to pay.
We are talking to Ingrid Cunninger from the Greater Wisconsin Agency on Aging Resources and the Senior Medicare Patrol. And I'm going to sound like such a weirdo here. Ask 100 other people what was the news story that most shocked them this year, and they'll tell you a lot of the usual suspects. But for me, it was this story that I saw a few months back. The amount of senior citizen medical debt is soaring. And that doesn't make sense at first blush, because you think, well, wait, Medicare, I paid my taxes all my life. I've got Medicare. It's going to cover things. I'm going to get a Part D drug plan, and that's going to cover most of the things. How can this be? And you read deeper into the article, and it's all kinds of folks on these Medicare Advantage plans who, between the deductibles and the copay, or deciding to go without because of previous denials of care, they're suddenly racking up all this Medicare or medical debt. That is extremely shocking to me, to see that happen to the senior citizens of the United States. So to me, it was just a very cautionary tale, not only to pay attention to what the private health insurance companies are saying, but also I would assume the potential for scammers and others who want to take advantage of people in the system as well. And as the fraud and abuse programs manager, that's something I'm sure you're watching closer than anybody else.
Absolutely. The amount of Medicare related fraud, errors, and abuse is astounding. With the Senior Medicare Patrol, we focus primarily on educating Medicare beneficiaries as well as their advocates about how they can protect themselves from Medicare related fraud and scams, as well as how they can detect and report that. And the estimate right now is between $60 and $100 billion per year is just frauded the Medicare system. So to answer your question, absolutely, there are a lot of bad actors out there looking to take advantage not only of older adults, but of a program that older adults really rely on to provide their health insurance coverage.
How did the scammers tend to do this? Is it like a phone thing where they're calling people and making some kind of a hard sell on them?
Yeah, primarily the scammers do operate via telephone, and there's a couple of different ways that they do that. The first thing is that they're looking for people's Medicare numbers. So they may call and say that they're calling on behalf of Medicare, and they just want to make sure that you've received your new Medicare card. Well, if you didn't receive a new Medicare card recently, you might be caught off guard and think, I didn't know I needed one. And then that person on the phone is going to be so happy that they called you today because they're going to be able to take care of that. They just need to, here comes the catch, verify that information, and they'll go ahead and get that new Medicare card issued. Well, here's the thing. There's not a new Medicare card. So, and Medicare is not calling people. So that's something for people to remember. Not a new Medicare card. Medicare is not going to call you. So what happens then is that the people that have gotten that Medicare number share it with other Medicare suppliers or equipment suppliers, anyone who's willing to make suspicious or fraudulent claims to Medicare on your behalf. So then what happens is that you receive your Medicare summary notice and you notice that Medicare has paid thousands of dollars for orthotic braces or catheter supplies, a bunch of things that you didn't receive, were not ordered by your healthcare provider, and now Medicare has made payment for. And that's where the billions and billions of dollars rack up.
We are talking to Ingrid Cunninger from the Senior Medicare Patrol. Senior Medicare Patrol, SMPWI.org is the website. And you've got some articles in there about how this is really the time to double check your plan, even if you're happy with it, so that you can compare, apples to apples. So between that website, SMPWI.org for Senior Medicare Patrol, Wisconsin.org, and Medicare.gov, how important is it to be proactive rather than wait for somebody to ring your phone?
It's very important to be proactive. And as you mentioned earlier, this is right now, we are in Medicare's open enrollment period. So every year between October 15th and December 7th, Medicare beneficiaries have the opportunity to, as you said, review their plans for this year, see what changes their plan might have in the works for next year, and then look at other options. That's a great benefit that people have the opportunity right now to review plans and see if there might be something out there that is more beneficial to you. Maybe there's additional benefits. Maybe the cost is different. Maybe your health situation has changed and you need more coverage or less coverage. And so now is a great time to do that. And I would really encourage people to, I know I said it goes until December 7th, but don't wait until December 7th, especially if you're looking to connect with some of the unbiased resources that might be available in your community to kind of help you sift through all those things. They get really busy right now with helping other people. So please don't wait. And if you do get a phone call and someone is starting to pressure you about making a decision right now or offering extra benefits, if you sign up today on the phone, take a deep breath, hang up the phone, and find someone who can help you not feel pressured into making those decisions. Because that's a big decision to make. And you want to make sure that you've, done your research, asked the questions that you wanted to ask, and feel confident, not pressured in the choice that you make for your healthcare coverage for next year.
Ingrid Cunninger is the Fraud and Abuse Programs Manager for the Greater Wisconsin Agency on Aging Resources and the Senior Medicare Patrol. Ingrid, thank you so much for all this valuable information. I really appreciate it. Have a great day.
Thank you. You too.
All right. Still ahead, we're going to be talking to Sean O'Malley about a potential big bubble in the markets all around artificial intelligence. Stick around for that. I'm Pat Kreitlow. This is the Civic Media Radio Network. All right, we are in commercial. Ingrid, thank you very much. This was wonderful.
You're welcome. Thanks for reaching out. And if there's ever any other questions or times that you'd want to talk about Medicare fraud or any of those fun things, I'm always available for that.
That is great to know. All right. Thanks again, Ingrid. We'll
Thanks.
talk to you
Have a
again
great
soon.
day.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Hello, James.
Good morning.
How you doing?
It would have been better if the Knicks won on Tuesday. I was hoping to come in here with bragging rights.
Oh, gee, I'm sorry. Oh.
Oh, no. That was devious, Parker.
Yeah, well,
Sorry.
The
soundboard speaks for itself.
I was going to say he's not always quick on the trigger on that soundboard, but when he is, you feel the cut, man. It cuts you deep. All right, let's see. Do I have your notes here? Yes, I do. So, and we during the 720 we got all into the UW
Yeah, I heard
College
about it.
Republicans. So, because I didn't see it on your notes there, so I thought I would just go off on that. Let's see. Yeah, everything else is. Oh, what do we got here? Bear hunting. You've not been bear hunting.
Oh no, I'm terrified of bears. I wouldn't go hunting, let alone bear hunting.
Okay. Town of Washburn.
Yeah, not confusing at all having a Washburn County and a town of Washburn that's in a different county.
There, I've got to get that. I've got to get that list of place names that are not in the county of the same name. We have a bunch of those here.
Yeah, well, you got one on the list right now.
Yeah. Like, what is it? Portage isn't in Portage County, and there's a whole list of. I really got
perfectly non-confusing.
Yeah, not at all. So yeah, Washburn is big on that list. All right, we'll get going in just over a minute.
The ants are coming up. Fall is harvest time, and you can see the machines rolling through the marshlands, which are flooded to help the cranberries float to the top. But it hasn't always been this easy. Back in the mid-1800s, the berries had to be picked by hand. It took another 100 years for the right equipment to be built to help with this harvest. Okay, so Wisconsin owns the cranberry capital title, but which state lost it to us? Massachusetts, which has been number 2 ever since. By the way, the cranberry is the official state fruit, making it a true slice of Wisconsin. I'm Terry Barr for the Civic Media Radio Network.
You'll find monster savings during October at Verlo Mattress of Madison. Save on adjustable bases, now 30 to 50% off. Prepare for a sleep sanctuary like
30 seconds.
Also in the Up North News daily newsletter, sign up for it at upnorthnewswi.com. A link to this article from our website. Robert Kennedy Jr. ignores more than 100 studies to push an abortion pill ban. This is the mifepristone explainer you need. Again, that's in our newsletter and on our website, upnorthnewswi.com. Let's turn now to James Kelly over in our newsroom here in the Chippewa Valley for Civic Media, talking about the stories that he is following for us this week. James, how you doing?
I'm good. How you doing?
Good. Let's see. We're starting with hunting season and bear hunting, and that is something that neither you nor I can claim to be.
I'm definitely not a bear hunter.
No, like I said,
I might be hunted by bears someday, but never a hunter.
Some days you could get that feeling out there, but no, bear hunting season is going on. And so what are some of the latest numbers here?
Yeah, the Department of Natural Resources released their preliminary results for this bear hunting season. It was a 35-day season. The Northwest Wisconsin usually does have the highest numbers out of the bear season. This year, the Northern Wisconsin Hunting Zone A was the only zone that actually exceeded its harvest target quota. A little bit of a down year this year. In Hunting Zone D, they fell about 200 bears short. That's more Western Wisconsin than Northern Wisconsin. Overall, a much more disappointing bear hunting season than last year, where they saw almost 4,300 bears harvested. This year, it was under 3,800, which is also the 5-year average.
Okay. And we've certainly talked about the pursuit of cleaner and greener energy generation in Wisconsin. And there's some news to report from Dunn County.
Yeah, the Dunn Energy Cooperative held a ribbon-cutting ceremony for a new solar array project this week. It's a small project, but it is their 4th one that they've done, so they are kind of adding these. This is a 15-acre project with solar panels, about 5,200. So they're adding a lot of these smaller areas with solar panels to kind of diversify the energy production in the region. It's only going to produce about 2.5 megawatts of power, which is 5 million kilowatts of the 220 million kilowatts that they offer for Dunn County residents, but it is going to be around for 30 years. So this is going to be a long-term project. There's probably going to be a little bit of upkeep on it, but it's not a huge footprint. It's not a huge inconvenience for farmers or anything, and just kind of a good way to diversify your energy production.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Diversity is, a diverse portfolio of energy sources is a good thing, something that we've been pursuing in the state for a long time, and certainly now on the local level as well. We are coming up on the 50th anniversary of a milestone tragedy in the Great Lakes, and it's going to be commemorated up north coming up this weekend.
Yeah, the Edmund Fitzgerald sunk 50 years ago as of, November 10th. This weekend, there's going to be a dedication ceremony for a new statue along Lake Superior. It's in the town of Washburn, not the county, the town. And it's an interesting project. It's a pretty big statue, but all of the statue is made up of things that are significant to the shipwreck itself. The base of the tower is part of the Ashland ore dock. And at the top, there's a working weather vane that's going to be shaped like the Edmund Fitzgerald. And there's taconite pellets involved in there, too, which is actually the cargo that the ship was carrying when it sunk.
Okay. Yeah, there's going to be a lot to be said about this over the next couple of weeks. I can definitely see us replaying our interview with Tom Nelson, who has written a book about the 50th anniversary of the sinking of the Edmund Fitzgerald. And so now there will be this statue up there as well. A lot to be said about, again, just a terrible tragedy. And as we've learned from Tom Nelson's book, we've learned a bit more about, the possible causes of this huge freighter breaking up and sinking during a storm on Lake Superior. Definitely something that we'll be wanting to talk about for such a big anniversary celebration.
Yeah, so that'll be at the Washburn Marina on Saturday. And there's also going to be some statements read from crew names and statements from family members and the community overall. It is, a pretty significant occurrence, and 50 years is a pretty significant milestone. So everyone's going to be out for this one.
Okay. Let's see. Oh, so Tony writes in on YouTube, and he knows that I've occasionally, you mentioned that Washburn is not in Washburn County, and Wisconsin has a lot of those. And Tony very quickly put together a list. The town of Washburn is not in Washburn County. It's in Bayfield County.
Yep.
The town of Adams is not in Adams County. It's in Jackson County. The town of Jackson is not in Jackson County. It's in Washington County. The town of Grant is not in Grant County. There's a town of Grant in Portage County and in Dunn County. There's the town of Douglas. That's not in Douglas County. That's located in Marquette County. Let's see. There's the town of Polk, which is not in Polk County. It's in Washington County. The town of Lincoln, not in Lincoln County. Believe it or not, it's located in Trempealeau County. And finally, there's the town of Monroe, not in Monroe County. It's in Greene County.
No, you could live your whole life here and not really get that whole geographical sense. If you think you're talking about one place, you're actually talking about another place. It's perfectly non-confusing.
Perfectly, yes. I mean, we always, when people move here to cover news or anything else, we talk about the pronunciation conundrum that comes up with some place names. But this is another one of them, thinking that, oh, well, if I'm going to, Washburn, I'm clearly going to Washburn County. No, you're not. So.
Oh, yeah. I listened to a lot of local news reports when I first moved here, trying to make sure I get all the pronunciations right, because there's nothing worse than showing up to an event out in public and someone's like, oh, by the way, you mispronounced the name of this town you cover. Everybody knows you're not from here now.
Or Governor Tony Evers or something like that. Yeah, it's tough to be an instant local, but we're working on it. And with James, you can follow what he's doing for us in the Chippewa Valley at 93.5 The Tap. That's WCFW HD2 in the Chippewa Valley, or on the Civic Media app. And to see some of the current headlines and weather and upcoming local sports, head over to the station's website, thetap.fm. That's thetap.fm. Or just go to civicmedia.us, click through the stations. And when you click on the station, it'll take you right there to the station homepage where you see some of the news that James Kelly is putting together.
And
James,
let me know if I mispronounce anything.
Yes, absolutely. We want to know that. We want to get better all the time. Present company included, believe me. All right, James, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thanks.
All right, coming up, Chad Holmes will be here from 98.9 WXCO in Wausau. Sean O'Malley on your money in the markets, and Joe Zepecki and Todd Alba all in the 8 o'clock hour. I'm Pat Kreitlow.
News, Madison's home for real news and great conversation. A civic media station.
ABC News, I'm Sherry Preston. Improving relations between the world's two largest economies could drive trading on Wall Street down today. ABC's Rachel Scott traveling with President Trump for his first big meeting in South Korea overnight.
The president's entire trip here in Asia was building to this high-stakes moment, this face-to-face meeting between President Trump and Chinese President Xi. After months of going tit for tat on trade, the president announcing a one-year truce.
The Dow futures are down 200 points. President also saying nuclear weapons testing will resume for the first time in 3 decades, saying that the only thing that will put the U.S. on an equal basis with Russia and China is that. One thing not resolved in talks with China, issues related to TikTok's ownership. Haiti, Jamaica, Cuba picking up the pieces after Hurricane Melissa's destruction. There were at least 30 deaths across the Caribbean. This is day 30 of the government shutdown, with federal food assistance benefits set to expire on Saturday. This is ABC News.
You're listening to 92.7 WMDX, Madison's home for the Maggie Dawn Show, Monday through Friday from 4 to 6 p.m.
For 92.7 WMDX News, I'm Savannah Tomei Olson. Fewer Wisconsinites have gotten their flu shot this year. Lisa Hale reports.
Did you get your flu shot yet? Wisconsin Department of Health Services officials say there's been a significant drop in the number of residents who have received their flu shot this year. According to DHS data, only about 309,000 Wisconsinites have gotten their flu shot so far in the month of October. Last October, that number was nearly 860,000. DHS officials are encouraging residents to get their flu shot as soon as possible as winter weather begins to move into the state and respiratory viruses start to become more common again.
Many doctors recommend flu before boo, as in get your shot before Halloween. Speaking of, as you're making your plans for tomorrow, many Dane County communities have trick-or-treating hours. Madison is not one of them. The city does not put out suggested trick-or-treating times. Here are some other cities, though. In Fitchburg, it's 4 to 7. In Verona, it's 5 to 8. And in Middleton, Sun Prairie, and Waunakee, it's 5 to 7. And after trick-or-treating, we change the clocks. Here's meteorologist Brittany Merlot.
On Sunday, we get an extra hour of sleep when the clocks fall back an hour at 2 a.m., resulting in earlier sunrises and earlier sunsets. While this change gives us an extra hour of sleep, the time difference can still cause confusion and disruptions to the schedules for kids and pets. The Journal of Clinical Sleep Medicine says the shift in time change has been associated with increased heart attacks, strokes, abnormal heart rhythms, sleep disruption, mood disturbances, and even suicide. People tend to feel more tired with the less light. A common chemical that regulates that is called serotonin, and that comes from the sun. So it's important to increase your exposure to sunlight during the day, especially in the morning. I'm meteorologist Brittany Merlot.
And I'm Savannah Tomei Olson, 92.7 WMDX News.
The Packers prepare for the Panthers. Hi, I'm Mike Clemens with sports. The Packers host the Carolina Panthers Sunday at noon. Green Bay will wear their 1923 throwback jerseys. Jordan Love named the NFC Offensive Player of the Week for his performance against the Steelers. College hoops, the Wisconsin Badgers over the UW-Platteville Pioneers, 69-53 in a charity exhibition. The Badgers getting off to a slow start, shooting, giving up turnovers. Great guard.
Yeah, the turnovers will break down, but I was happy with how we turned up the defensive pressure late in the first half.
The Bucks at home for a big one against Steph Curry and the Golden State Warriors tonight. Baseball, the Minnesota Twins have hired Derek Shelton as their new manager. Shelton had been the bench coach there before taking over as the Pirates manager 5 years ago. The Blue Jays winning Game 5 of the World Series 6-1. Game 6 tomorrow night in Toronto. The Blue Jays lead the Dodgers 3-2. With sports, I'm Mike Clemens.
Madison, Wisconsin. Students, government, lakes, and 92.7 WMDX.
It is going to be partly to mostly cloudy today. We'll get to 54 for a high this afternoon. Tonight, mostly cloudy. We'll drop to 35 for an overnight low. Tomorrow, partly to mostly cloudy with a few showers possible and a high tomorrow right around 53. I'm meteorologist Sean Cable. Outside now, it's 35.
As veterans, we're no strangers to helping others.
That's what we were taught, service before self.
But we do have one question for the veterans listening.
When was the last time you reached out for help?
If you or someone you know needs resources, whether it's for stress, finances, employment, or mental health, don't wait. Reach out.
Find more information at va.gov/reach. That's va.gov/reach.
Brought to you by the United States Department of Veterans Affairs and the Ad Council.
What's going on with Earl Ingram?
The No Kings rallies across this nation, they reminded me of, it was an organization called the Tea Party. Senior citizens were a part of the Tea Party. And there are a lot of senior citizens involved in the No Kings rallies.
Listen to the Civic Media exclusive podcast, What's Going On with Earl Ingram.
Live across Wisconsin on Civic Media, you're listening to Mornings with Pat Kreitlow, powered by Up North News. Now, from our Lake Wissota studio, here is the founding editor of Up North News, Pat Kreitlow.
Lake Wissota this morning. Good morning, 8:06. Nice to have you back here up north on a Thursday morning. It is October 30th. Parker Olson producing things down in Madison Studio A2. Chad Holmes is standing by. We'll be hearing from Joe Zepecki this hour, Todd Alba, and Sean O'Malley talking about why the stock market's doing so well when everything else does not appear to be doing so well. Yeah, it's a bubble, unfortunately, and we're going to talk more about that in just a bit. In our last hour, we were talking about Medicare Advantage plans, and this on the text line from Jan in Oak Creek. Medicare Advantage wasn't put in place to help people on Medicare. It was established so that private insurance companies can make a profit off of recipients. It's part of a decades-long plan by Republicans to privatize all social services. They see a big pot of money, and they want to get their hands on it. Might be some of the truest words spoken this week. And you can add your comments on the text line as well, either 855-75-CIVIC or use the Civic Media app to reach out to us and let us know what's on your mind. You can also send a voice note or record a voice note as well, if you prefer. Let's see. We've got also in the comment sections of YouTube and Facebook over on YouTube, from Rob, good morning from Tigerton. The sun is coming up. It's 30 degrees. Going to mow up some leaves today. Yesterday had a doctor's appointment in Shawano. Still a little color on the trees in the city. Took a few pictures. He says around my area, Shawano, Anago, and Wapaka get pronounced wrong on the Weather Channel during severe weather season. True. Watching the World Series last night, weird to see Dodger Stadium emptying out by the 8th inning. Oh, they could be winning or losing, and people would be like, oh, that LA traffic, got to get going. He says if Toronto wins the World Series Friday night, they would have titles in all 3 in 6 games. So good for them. So again, that's tomorrow after the Blue Jays beat the Dodgers last night. Let's see. So with that, turn over to somebody who's been covering more high school football than World Series, but the seasons, they are a-changing for Chad Holmes, and he joins us now from 98.9 WXCO. How are you, Mr. Holmes?
Very, very good. By the way, I have been to Dodger Stadium, and it is a wonderful place to watch a baseball game.
Is it? Okay.
It really was. A number of years ago, I went to a Dodger Brewer game back in the day. I actually
Okay.
lived in Hollywood for a year. I may not know that, but it was actually a very interesting, fun year. But
Well, you can hear the brakes being put on this segment real quick here. I'm sorry. You lived in Hollywood for a year.
I literally walk out the door of where I lived, the apartment, look to the left, down the road, and see the Hollywood sign.
Wow.
It was, and I spent way too much money, and then I came back home a year later.
I was going to say, were you in any commercials, or you played the part of a corpse on Law and Order, or anything?
I was on a game show.
You get out of here. Look at this stuff I'm learning over here. All right. Again, put the needle across the record again. We got to stop what we're doing. There we go. Tell me more.
It was a game show named On the Cover. and
Okay.
it was a short-lived game show. It was on what was called the PAX Network. Remember the PAX Network?
No.
Okay, well, the PAX Network. But it was a fun little. It was a basically it used magazine covers and use sort of questions on pop culture, and it was actually kind of a fun little show. Um, it had 2 rounds. The first round, I swear my clicker wasn't working properly because it was
Okay.
clicking, and I fell way behind. But then I made a massive comeback in the second round. I
Ooh.
I mean, I was way behind, and I was in third place, and then I got to within one question of winning it, but the time ran out, and then did not go to the bonus round. But it was interesting to
That's
do that.
fascinating.
It was on
Wow.
TV, and it was kind of cool.
Things we learn. Wow, that's great. But as Rob notes on YouTube, Chad's getting ready for basketball now. I take that to mean your football coverage is over for a year.
Yeah, my football coverage ended last Friday, so now we
Okay.
got like 2.5 weeks now. It's like 3 weeks from this past Tuesday will be our first basketball game. So get a chance, and actually next week I'm back, but then I'm taking a week off. So it's like that I take a vacation one
Yes.
week in the summer to go off and play me some poker in Las Vegas, and then
Yep.
I take 1 week between football and winter sports, and I'm gonna take a week off, and I'm looking forward to going down to the Chicago area. I'm probably gonna play a little poker down there, but I'm actually
Of course
planning
you
on
are.
going. I'm actually planning on going to the United Center for the first time and see
Oh,
a
okay.
hockey game actually there. So
Oh, that would be nice. Yeah, I would love to see a hockey game there. So well, let's come to poker for a moment. And let's get to that big scandal from last week involving some NBA players and coaches and mob figures. And part of it was about, the sports betting, but another big part of it was about these poker games, these illegal poker games where people think they're being invited. There's going to be, a celebrity there, an NBA player or something like that, not realizing everybody else around the table is in on this, and that there are ways that they're cheating to see your cards and get your money. Chad, the first time you heard this report last week, what'd you think?
I have never been involved in anything like that.
Well, no, I'm
No,
not saying,
no,
but
no, but I mean, it's like I don't know some of the I don't know the tricks. That's one
Mhm.
thing that's what I've never been that deep into it. But the idea of these, I find it odd that we still have to have these illegal games because there's so gambling has become so prevalent. And I guess with the poker, it's a little bit more difficult to find the games because like I don't really have anywhere I go around here, so I don't play very much outside of
Mhm.
my little trips. But there's so much gambling going on, and one of the funniest aspects about that story was the next morning on ESPN they're doing a rundown talking about Chauncey Billups being suspended and a couple players being involved. And in the corner, there's an ad for ESPN Bet.
Yes, of course.
It was so funny. Your first $10, you get to, matching whatever it is, and it's like, but no, I mean, that part of the story is kind of beyond anything that I've experienced in the
Mhm.
past.
So I mean, yeah. So all of the with the poker tables. I mean, now the whole way that poker got popular on television, you get these little tiny pinhole TV cameras that can see the players' cards, on TV. But of course, all the other players can't see. But it turns out they all have like either earpieces or other ways of signaling, what you're seeing on these cards, and it is just so. I it's both disturbing and also not surprising. Obviously
Right.
there's always people trying to cheat other people, but I guess at one point there was like X-ray tables or something to read the cards.
I mean, just crazy.
I
Yeah, I
mean,
mean,
just
and how
there's
does Chauncey Billups get involved in this? That was my thing. It's like you're the you're the head
yeah,
coach of the Portland Trail Blazers.
yeah.
You're an NBA legend, so you made money for many years in the league. And you're involved in I mean, I can almost understand if you're somebody that just likes playing and may have got yourself in over your head in terms of gambling losses because you just can't help yourself. I mean,
Right.
the addiction, but this is planned. This is I don't understand his reasons behind it. It really blows my mind in a certain way.
Especially when you consider, yes, they had NBA contracts. They they were not, applying for SNAP benefits, and yet they
Yeah.
always need that extra edge. It's not so much the need for the money, but the need to gamble and win, that very competitive nature that drives
But it's
them to
cheating.
doing
You're
it.
not competing, though.
That's
the thing
just
about
it. Yes. Yeah. I don't understand that part at all. And I wondered last week, and of course, in one of the rare cases where Parker was actually the grown up and I was the innocent, youth, I was saying, I don't know, this might really, put a nail in the coffin of, sports betting and all that. And Parker kind of patted me on the head. He's like, there, it's not going away. And it's not. I mean, it was a headline for a couple of days, and the betting sites, I thought they might take their commercials down. Nope, they're going like never before.
In a big picture kind of way, scandal does not have the same punch it used to.
Sure.
I mean, you remember back in the days, whether it was Nixon or Iran-Contra, whatever it may be, these
or
scandals,
the NCAA, the things that would get you the quote unquote death penalty are now just another day under
Right.
NIL deals.
I mean, the scandals are just a couple of days, and then we move on to the next thing. And then, I mean, our attention span as a society seems to have gone down to zero, and that's been concerning because we have a scandal of the day when it comes to our administration, and things that would have ended political careers in the past have not. And I think maybe in the same realm, things that would have ended sports careers are not doing the same as well.
And I don't know where that ends if you no longer have shame, if you no longer have shock value. Where does this end? And I hate to make a dark pivot to politics, but I will for a second here, in that you hear about these couple of federal prosecutors who were just fired for using the words mob and riot to accurately describe January 6th. But they were talking yesterday about how public opinion polling shows that among many Republicans, their perception of the events of January 6th have flipped. You had 70% plus believing that what happened on January 6th was wrong. Now that number is down to something like 30% believe that what happened on January 6th was wrong. And I have no easy way to say this is how we're going to retool, re-educate, remoralize Americans to recognize that there are things that are wrong. And even if you like that person or supported that person, it's okay to be shocked and not to support that thing happening.
No, exactly right. And I mean, there's so many things that were considered norms that are not norms anymore. I mean, it was a norm where you didn't see a president blatantly profiting on his office.
Oh my goodness.
Where there would have been that's an incredible.
Again, Jimmy Carter had to sell his farm. He had to sell his peanut farm because, he would be ultimately in charge of agricultural policy, and you didn't want any appearance of a conflict of interest. And now, between the crypto scams and now this ballroom, which is just going to be one big thing it ought to be named after Whirlpool for all the money laundering that's probably going to be going on as part of this thing.
Have you heard what the name of the ballroom has been proposed?
No,
by Trump?
What?
The Donald Trump Ballroom.
Oh, shocking. But like we said a few days ago, in case folks missed it, any Democrat running for president simply has to make sure you include this in your campaign promise. That name is going to be changed instantly to either like the Barack Obama Ballroom or something else, because eventually Trump and others will move on from the scene. And I always think of one of those Christmas animated specials, the one with the Burgermeister Burger. And eventually, the guys that tried to make all the toys illegal, they fade from the scene. Their paintings are taken down from the wall, and they're put into the ash can of history where they belong. And we will find, other better names for these things, other better use for ourselves, but we have to get through this crisis first. And that's a tall order these days, but I still feel like we can do it.
Well, I hope you're right.
I hope so too, because you know why? Because we need voices talking to other people who believe in these things like morality and normalcy again. And Chad Holmes is one of those folks. You can catch his updates on 98.9 WXCO or on the app or through WXCO.FM or the Civic Media website. Thank you, Chad. Have a great day.
You too.
All right. We're going to talk about the potential for a stock market bubble involving artificial intelligence with Sean O'Malley talking about your money in the markets, and still Joe Zepecki coming along as well. Live from the lake. Thanks for making this the place to spend part of your mornings. I'm Pat Kreitlow. This is the Civic Media Radio Network. How's Mr. O'Malley today?
I am doing all right. How are you doing, Mr. Kreitlow?
Well, I was okay. Then I read your email and I was thoroughly depressed. But that's
Yeah, look, it's not good news. Any way you slice it,
No.
you're looking at people losing jobs to AI, and they've been talking about the AI bubble for a while.
Yep.
Which is why, a couple of weeks ago I kind of hinted, hey guys, watch out. Things are kind of frothy, and they're only getting frothier.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Well, we got plenty to work on here.
Oh God, yeah. I mean, we're not going to be able to get through all of it, so we can just, guide me where you want me to go.
All right, will do. All right, sounds good. We'll get going in 90 seconds here.
Thirty seconds.
All right, let's talk about your money in the markets with Sean O'Malley joining us now. Mr. O'Malley, how are you?
I'm doing well, Pat. How are you doing this great morning?
I'm doing fine. We're really going to look at your expertise here in financial compliance and all the things that just make my red flags go up about what is happening in the markets, the way that money is moving all around in one particular area. And what led me to this, Sean, was this headline about a company that is now worth it has a market capitalization of $5 trillion with a T dollars. I have a tough enough time with the concept of any one person being a billionaire, how much it would take to collect and spend $1 billion to have a $5 trillion company just sounds fishy to me. And it tells me that there might be more behind this current stock market run that does not appear to reflect the greater economy. Does it raise some red flags with you?
Absolutely, Pat. This is one of the things that we call a concentration risk. Right now, the company you're talking about, of course, is NVIDIA. They make up a huge proportion of the market capitalization weighted S&P 500 index. So basically, whatever happens with NVIDIA, that's what's happening with the S&P 500 index to a large extent, because they are literally, I think, about a quarter of the weight given their capitalization. Now, here's the really funny thing, though. This bubble thing isn't exactly new. When I was in London 2.5 weeks ago, I took a picture of an article that I read that I thought was particularly interesting. And it was entitled, Are We in an AI Bubble? It was from the London Sunday Times and authored by John Yeomans. And he had 8 reasons for why he felt that was the case. Now, I noted in there, looking, sort of zooming in on that photo, this was 2.5 weeks ago. NVIDIA's market cap at that point in time was $4.7 trillion. So in those 2.5 weeks, they have gone up $300 billion in market capitalization.
That's not there's nothing realistic about that.
No, that's like saying, okay, yeah, we went up 6% in 2 weeks.
It's like we're playing whose line is it anyway with the stock market, where the points don't matter.
Yeah, and there are a number of people that I listen to that do very intelligent podcasts online where the comment has been that, I mean, a couple of comments. One, it feels more like we're gambling now. It feels more like we're in a casino rather than the stock market. And the second one was, talking about the fact that with the government shutdown, we have no economic data to go on. We were supposed to get GDP this morning. We don't have that. We are supposed to get initial jobless claims for the week. We don't have that. We haven't had it since September 20th. Unemployment, haven't seen that since September. So we are literally flying blind. We don't really know what's going on. And yet the market keeps going up and AI is riding it.
Which enables, again, the current administration to say whatever they want to say and to say everything is just hunky-dory. But it's not all hunky-dory. I mean, we see it just in the numbers, the crazy tens of thousands of numbers of layoffs that have been announced so far this year.
Yeah. I mean, I think the Fed's rate cut this week clearly has a lot of support, given that they say that they're focusing on the labor market. And you just look at the litany of companies that have laid off. I mean, I'm not going to go through all of them, but I mean, Intel, don't forget, U.S. government owns 10% of that. 24,000 employees laid off. Amazon, 14, and they're estimated to go up to 30,000 now. Amazon, interestingly, has told their board of directors that they are going to be able to double their revenues between now and 2033 without adding any additional staff. None. Not one more human involved in the process, but we're going to double revenues.
Wow. Look at these, though. Nestle, 16,000 employees cut. UPS, 14,000. Ford, 11,000. And on and on. People closer to home heard about Target cutting 1,800 employees. And I get that in a lot of instances, these announcements are accompanied by, well, AI means we can do more with fewer people. I really get the suspicion that there are more fundamentals at play, but AI is an easy thing to cite rather than to say, this current administration's kind of screwing up the economy.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's both are happening.
Yeah. I'm saying
the
it's
current
both,
administration has no idea what they're doing with the economy.
No.
Which is why nobody's making any investments in this economy. We have become the pariah globally in trade and, all transactions and investment of all sorts. Everybody's sort of trying to placate President Trump saying, oh, yeah, we're going to come in and do investment, but we'll see if it actually happens.
And yet that leads to what you would call a generational gap in terms of where the market is going right now, in light of these Federal Reserve cuts.
Correct. And we've talked about this, sort of topic before, but we're putting a label on it now. We talked about who is going to sort of win and lose with the economy, and now they're putting a label on it. It's the generational gap. So older people who have more wealth in stocks are going to do fine. They're doing well. But younger generations that are more debt burdened, are dealing, and obviously most of them don't own their home. So they're dealing with rental prices that are ever increasing, and student loan debt that they have to deal with. And, other things that, most of us had to deal with a lot of debt when we were younger. That problem has gotten worse. So what we're seeing is older graying America doing very well financially, and the younger generation, 20s, 30s, early 30s, I guess I'd say probably more, really not doing well and not having much of a chance to get ahead.
No, and it leads to that. This much I've learned about the alphabet covering economic recoveries. There's either the V-shaped recovery, where it's a quick recovery, the U-shaped recovery, where it's a long, hard slog, and then worst of all for some people, the K-shaped one, where some go up really nicely and some really not so much. We're talking to Sean O'Malley about your money in the markets. We'll talk a little bit more about the AI bubble that appears to be out there, and then we'll bring in Joseph Pecky and Todd Alba before we're all done on a Thursday morning, live from Lake Wissota. I'm Pat Kreitlow. This is Up North News. This is Up North News powered See what happens when you change the name of the show. This is
You
Mornings
could.
with Pat Kreitlow, powered by Up North News on the Civic Media Radio Network. We should record this.
Add a kid.
Wow.
There we go.
That's
We got
okay.
that.
That's failure. Failure is an orphan. Success has 1,000 fathers. All right. How's Joe today?
Just fine, thank you.
Just fine. All
Excellent.
right. All right. We'll do just a touch more on the bubble, and then we will turn to Mr. Zapecki here. Let me see what else we got here. The national debt. That's the one that we didn't do. National debt and the trade balance.
Let's go in with. I think we go with back to the bubble, sort of how things are. We have basically inflated equity prices, and don't forget that what used to be private equity has now become private credit. And there's a lot of talk about how that is not being properly evaluated, risk assessed, or credit rated. So
what could go wrong?
Right. Yeah. Overpriced equity and under risked debt. What could possibly go wrong with that?
We've never seen anything like that before.
Never.
Good Lord. Okay. All right. I think we're good there. Joe, what do you want to talk prisons at all, or is that not in your bailiwick? I'm fine.
We
either
can.
way.
We can. I mean, we don't have to spend a ton of time on it, but
okay. All righty. Sounds good. All right. Well, then and did I miss anything in that list? Okay. All right. Groovy. All right. Sounds good. We'll be back in 3.5 minutes.
All righty, sir.
To honor those who have been willing to make the ultimate sacrifice. So I'm looking forward to hearing about how these bills move forward, because they are really about Wisconsin and helping Wisconsin be better.
Making it a state holiday means state offices would be closed and school districts that close for state holidays would cancel class. Democrats' package of bills also creates a veterans mental health grant program and adds funding to the Missing in Action Recovery Program. All three proposals would need Republican support to pass. I'm Savannah Tomei Olson, 92.7 WMDX News.
Farm news that impacts you and your community from the Midwest Farm Report throughout your day on 92.7 WMDX.
It is going to be partly to mostly cloudy today. We'll get to 54 for a high this afternoon. Tonight, mostly cloudy. We'll drop to 35 for an overnight low. Tomorrow, partly to mostly cloudy with a few showers possible and a high tomorrow right around 53. I'm meteorologist Sean Cable. Outside now, it's 35.
Don't act like that. Don't wear that. Don't think that. I've heard everything you tell yourself every time you felt different. And I want you to know that you can be vulnerable and powerful. That taking care of your mind is taking care of everyone you love and who loves you. Love your mind. Find mental health resources at loveyourmindtoday.org. Brought to you by the Huntsman Mental Health Institute and the Ad Council.
The John and Gordy Show.
Have you got all the boxes emptied finally?
Yes, got all the boxes emptied. I've got everything in place where it should be in each of the rooms in my new apartment. I have to be very careful with these things that you put on the wall.
The gold stuff that you like to throw around the
all the fake gold stuff. I'm dressing it up like the Oval Office in my living room.
Weekday mornings 6 till 8 on 92.7 WMDX and the Civic Media app. Todd Alba.
Hey everybody, immigrants seeking naturalization as U.S. citizens will now need to answer twice as many questions correctly as before the Trump administration. Can I pass it? Find out. Join us next time.
The Todd Alba Show, weekdays 2 to 4.
SAMHSA.gov.
Thirty seconds until we're back.
All right, Joe Specchi is standing by on this Thursday morning. It's 8:35. First, a little bit more with Sean O'Malley about your money and the markets, and we're going to talk about the bubble in AI. But Sean, before we wrap things up here, I gotta do it. I gotta sound kind of sort of whiny here. This is new from the Associated Press. President Trump says he's made a deal with China's President Xi, and that China has agreed to purchase 25 million metric tons of soybeans annually for the next 3 years. Allow me to editorialize for a moment. No. This happens every time where Trump says we have a deal. We have concepts of a plan. Last time around, in his first term, he also did this. He also said China was going to go back to buying soybeans, and they didn't right away. It took a while for China to come back in, and yet everybody reads the headline, Sean, and we're not going to look at the reality. This is, once again, Trump saying he has a deal without an actual deal in place.
Yeah, he's got a history of doing stuff like this. He wants to paint a very rosy picture because that reflects well on him, he believes. Unfortunately, until it's actually signed and done, I wouldn't say that you have any semblance of a deal, particularly since the standard purchases that China makes per year have been replaced by Brazil and Argentina. So unless they're going to be increasing their purchases of soybeans, their soybean purchases are already locked in for this year.
Dear national media, you've learned nothing. At least put in the word claims. Trump claims to have a deal, blah, blah, blah. All right, let's set that aside. That's the breaking news there. Now, we were speaking a little bit ago about what is seems to really be becoming an AI bubble in the stock market. Is there anything that, your typical investor should know or do, like stay away from, or do we need to, when you see what appears to be a bubble, do you start hedging ahead of time, or what do you advise?
Yeah, you should start to hedge ahead of time. That's why I made that statement right after coming back from Europe a couple of weeks ago. That is still my statement. It's what I'm doing personally. I'm advising others to do it, but let's just put it into perspective for 1 second. Okay. So these are facts. Okay. This isn't, whether the real question is whether AI is going to live up to the hype, yes or no. But right now, the valuation, the AI bubble is 17 times the size of the .com bubble, 17, and 4 times the size of the real estate bubble from 2008, which caused, of course, the financial crisis. So if it pays off, great. But that is a lot of risk, and that is a lot of exposure, and that is a lot of concentration. And do you really want to roll the dice?
And by the way, even if it is that successful, we just went over all the layoff numbers. It is coming at such a price in terms of labor, and we do not have the policies in place to make sure that all these Americans who are losing their jobs because of essentially automation can either find new work or have, the proper safety net to say, hey, it's great. The robots mean we don't have to work so much anymore, but let's make sure we can afford groceries. So, I mean, there's a lot that has to be processed. We didn't get it right with NAFTA, and we risk not getting it right with AI as well. He said, whining,
Yeah, true. But I mean, the real issue is that you're looking at the possibility that, especially with this administration being so, pro deregulation, there is going to be no safety net. It's going to be laissez-faire, and you've got to watch out for yourself because that is the attitude of this government.
All right. I've gobbled up too much time for us to get to the trade deficit and the national debt. We're going to get to both of those next week as well with Sean O'Malley. Sean, thank you so much for all the expertise. I appreciate it.
My pleasure, Pat. Have a great day.
Right. Yep, you as well. All right, let's bring in Joe Zepecki for the rest of the hour here, and Todd Alba will be joining us along the way as well. Joe, how are you today?
I'm doing all right. How are you? Other than whiny.
Well, you see these things, and it's like, again, why aren't we learning? This guy does have a track record, I just feel like that's not being said nearly enough. Anyway, let me put Parker Olson, our fine producer, on notice. If Parker, if you've got that sound clip from Congressman Derrick Van Orden that we played just a little after 6 a.m., I want to play it again because I think that, Congressman Van Orden has said some things over the past couple of days, again, trying to sound moderate, it's not really working. He is what he is. And so we came upon this clip from last December. Okay. President Trump, or Donald Trump, had been elected, was going to serve a second term as president. Republicans were going to take the Senate and the House. And so maybe they were going to end the dysfunction in passing a budget. And here's what he had to say on one radio show.
When we have unified government, I'll be very clear about this. When we have unified government, if we cannot get our 12 appropriations bills through in a budget, then we don't deserve to be in the majority any longer. We don't. I don't sugarcoat anything. And I'll take the paint off anybody that is talking smack about these sorts of things. That includes members of my own party. So a lot of the reasons you got to understand that we didn't get a lot of things done was because of members of the Republican Party. Some of our far right guys held things up in the Rules Committee. They voted against rules if the rule passed, and they prevented a lot of these measures getting through. So that's true. The other side of the coin is anything we do has to get through the Senate, which was controlled by Chuck Schumer. It still is until we get through January. So I'll say that again real clear. When we have unified government, if we can't get our 12 appropriations bills through and a budget passed, then we do not deserve to be in the majority, period.
I'm Becca Cook, and I approve this message. I'm Emily Berge. I approve this message. I'm State Party Chair Devin Remiker, and I approve this message. And Joe, every word he said is true.
Yeah, I could not have said it any better myself, and I don't want to talk any smack or DVO is going to tear the paint off me, whatever that means. So well said, Congressman. We agree on something.
Yeah, so that's where we stand. We don't have to dwell too much on the shutdown, other than the whole notion of, let's again clarify the cut in SNAP benefits. The cutoff is not necessary. It's never been done in a shutoff, and there are literally billions of dollars in a contingency fund expressly for this purpose of making sure families don't go hungry. And the Trump administration says, oh, no, we can't touch that. Joe, the cruelty is the point.
It is a choice that they are making, and families will go hungry, including some military families, which is unconscionable at any time, at any moment. And it's the choice that Republicans are making, because they would rather you pay more for health care next year than actually get to work and actually pass appropriations bills.
Yeah, there is some talk that there's a little chatter behind the scenes, maybe even involving Senator Tammy Baldwin to get some of these appropriations bills passed. And that has me a little concerned, Joe, because on both sides of the aisle, Republicans and Democrats, they're talking about how there's cracks in the unity. And I know we don't want this to go on forever, but I do worry that once again we're going to get a case of Lucy and Charlie Brown and the football, where they reach a deal to pass some appropriations bills, and that down the road we will resolve X, Y, and Z. But that would involve a level of trust, Joe, that is just not there in Washington anymore.
No, it's not. But I am as optimistic as I have been since this government shutdown that they're going to get this right. And here's why. Americans are procrastinators. We are. It's not just the college kids. Yeah. And a lot of consumers in the affordable healthcare marketplace have not availed themselves of the window shopping period. They do not yet know just how much these healthcare costs are going up. And when you look at the history of the Affordable Care Act, what we have seen is that the growth, particularly in the last 5 years, has largely been in red states, in smaller communities that tend to vote Republican. It is Republican constituents who are going to have sticker shock starting Saturday when the open enrollment period begins. And they will not be happy. Their congresspeople will hear from them. And I think that will create the space for a deal to happen, hopefully very quickly. We cannot go a week without SNAP benefits available to people. And Republicans don't want to go a week or 2 weeks with their constituents mad as hell about what they're going to be forced to pay for healthcare next week.
I hope so. I was a little concerned by this one stat from the Marquette poll yesterday. Among Republicans, 2 out of 3, 67%, say the credits for health insurance should expire. While, of course, 89% of Democrats and 54% of independents want the credits to be continued. Joe, I feel like either that 67% of Republicans that say the credits should go away either haven't shopped yet or are, I guess, somehow kidding themselves that in the end they won't have to pay these higher premiums. And like you said, they're in for a rude awakening.
And what folks who are not on Obamacare plans tend to forget is that we end up paying for it when fewer people have health insurance coverage.
Yeah.
Because the hospitals and the big drug companies and all the CEOs, they're not going to take a haircut on this stuff. So it's going to mean that we pay more if we happen to have employer sponsored coverage or a part of a group plan. And so this is healthcare is, I think, the 5th largest component of the United States economy. This is going to have aftershocks across the board if they don't get it fixed.
Political strategist Joe Zepecki is joining us on this Thursday morning. Todd Albo will be along before too long as well. Now, again, my usual disclaimer on the Marquette poll or any polling, we don't get too deep into it, especially on the horse race stuff. But it was intriguing to see some of the positions on various issues. Here, let me skip. I was going to do the governor one. Let me do the one that encourages me the most right now. Name recognition is still not high between the two announced candidates, appeals court judges Chris Taylor and Maria Lazar. However, despite the lack of knowledge about the race, 7 out of 10 registered voters said they are absolutely certain to vote in April when there will be a Supreme Court race on the ballot. That is a level of civic engagement, Joe, that makes me very happy to live in Wisconsin.
Yeah, most states never see that amount of interest even the week before an election. And so I was not surprised by how little known these candidates are. Mass communication is a thing. There's a reason that campaigns have to raise all these resources to spend talking to voters. That will come, and it will come very soon. For now, enjoy the lull when you don't have campaign commercials on your TVs and your screens as you're watching your stories.
Yes. Now, as for the gubernatorial field on the Democratic side, and I say this completely tongue in cheek. I love Francesca Hong, but of course, how do you not have a subject line in an email that says, "I'm number 1 in the polling for governor"? Now, here's where that polling is. She's at 8%. Lieutenant Governor Sarah Rodriguez, 4%. Milwaukee County Executive David Crawley and State Senator Kelda Royce, 3%. Missy Hughes at 2%. Undecided, 81%. So yes, you can be in first place with 81%, or you can be in first place with 6%, as Fran Hong is. That other 81% is going to take some time before they weigh in.
The other part of this is that in the Democratic primary ballot test, the margin of error was 6.8 or 6.9%. So
which is everybody.
Nobody's outside of the margin of error of even having support at all.
Yes. So again, that's the magic of polling. But what you did get is obviously the candidates from Madison and Milwaukee are better known than other candidates. Similar numbers you see on the Republican side as well. But I was very encouraged, again, like I said, to see the level of civic engagement. People understand that these races are big deals and that the August primary is going to be so important next year. We'll continue this conversation in just a bit. We'll be joined by Todd Alba of the conveniently named Todd Alba Show as we wrap things up from Lake Wissota for a Thursday morning here across the Civic Media Radio Network. I'm Pat Kreitlow. All right, let's see. Sean is still here listening in, so I guess, Sean, any correction to the record over here? Do we all make sense?
No, I'm just enjoying it all.
Okay, good. I just wanted to make sure. You can always jump in that chat section, by the way, if you ever hear anything untoward. So,
well, yeah, I was thinking about it, but I got another thing jumping out at me. But yeah, there's a lot going on, obviously, that bears commentary.
Yeah, no kidding. All right, sounds good. I'm going to take a break here. We should see Todd shortly. Mr. Alba, good morning.
Well, good morning. How are you?
I am good, thanks. So a note to you and then a reminder to Parker and Frank listening in that I have a meeting right at 9, so I'll be scampering off right at the end of the show here.
All right, very good.
And where are you now?
I'm here on the near west side of Madison.
I was gonna say, you look like you're waiting for the hurricane to come in.
Reporting from Jamaica, man.
Yeah, no, well, I wouldn't say it looks like Jamaica, but the clouds make it look like you're just trying to emulate your favorite Weather Channel reporters over there. So
yeah, Jim Santori.
Yeah, no, where are you?
I'm just here in Madison. Yeah.
Okay, all right. Sounds
good. Oh, camping somebody's. I wish I was camping. Yeah.
All right, let's see here. I like it. All right, we'll get going in just under 60 seconds.
All right, very good.
Seconds.
We got one more note off the text line before I forget here. We did get a note from Joe in Superior about our segment earlier on Medicare Advantage plans, saying the American healthcare system and understanding Medicare choices is such a cluster. It's little wonder people throw up their hands and simply take the Medicare disadvantage plan sales pitch, which makes it very simple to sign up. And yeah, that's we talked about all the commercials for Medicare Advantage plans, and now more than half of seniors who qualify for Medicare, more than half are on Medicare Advantage plans, not because they're so great, but because they see all these TV commercials, whereas original Medicare, that's a government program. The government can't run that many TV ads compared to the money insurance companies have. And so again, the main thrust of our segment this morning was to look very carefully and don't just pick something because, Joe Namath or JJ Walker from Good Times runs a commercial telling you to buy a Medicare Advantage plan. So, all right, having that out of the way, we welcome in Todd Alba to the discussion. Todd reporting from outside, and the clouds are dark back there. They're not palm trees, and so I know he's not waiting for Hurricane Melissa, but it's a little gloomy where you are out there. Thank God you're there brightening things up.
Thank you, Pat. I am feeling dynamite.
Oh,
that's all I have this morning.
JJ Walker reference.
Yeah,
Wow.
absolutely. No, it's I'm here on the near west side of I thought we could enjoy a little fall weather out here. It's
I
a beautiful
guess.
time of year. Yeah.
Yeah, well, you get
a little coffee in hand.
scarf and good. You got a coffee. You got a hand warmer in the form of the coffee mug.
Yes.
Nice. Todd, I was just going to ask Joe about something that you and I discussed on your program yesterday, and that was Senator Tammy Baldwin's announcement yesterday of endorsing Rebecca Cook in the 3rd Congressional District primary, which again is still almost a year away. And you and I talked about the strategic advantages or disadvantages of a U.S. senator making a declaration already. I believe the word you used was coronation. So let me get Joe Zepecki's thoughts on this first, and then we'll see. Joe, I'll put it pretty bluntly. Why would Senator Tammy Baldwin make an endorsement in any congressional district race at this early stage?
I don't know. If I was a United States senator, I would not. My speculation is that given that some of Senator Baldwin's colleagues, like Bernie Sanders, have already endorsed Rebecca Cook, that she felt like she needed to, do that to give a colleague some cover. I don't know. I tend to think that primaries are a good thing. And, listen, the fundraising disparity, certainly Rebecca Cook has a big advantage going into next year. And I can understand an argument that we want to marshal resources to focus on Mr. Van Orden. But, I think primaries are a good thing. They're healthy, and but Tammy Baldwin's an awfully smart politician who's done very well in this state. So who am I to question her?
No, and I can definitely be accused of overthinking this, but what I said to Todd on his show was I think that Senator Baldwin looked at that there are divisions among Democrats in the 3rd congressional district, and this was her way of saying not so much that this had anything to do with Emily Berge or the people that support her, but to say we need to be united now. We don't have the luxury of waiting until August 12th of next year. Otherwise, Derrick Van Orden is going to walk into this again. Todd, now that you've had a night to reflect on it, to what degree does it still constitute meddling or coronation as opposed to something more strategic on her part?
Well, I would just agree with what Joe just said, which is Tammy Baldwin. I mean, on another show, Joe, you talk about this. I think Tammy Baldwin, along with Tony Evers, are one of the few undefeated politicians in the state. So, yeah, she's pretty darn smart, a lot smarter than I am. I come at this from a guy who lost 2 Republican primaries for the assembly. So, maybe I'm a little salty about it. And also, I pointed out in the show yesterday, and Joe knows this, when Tammy ran in the what was it, 5 or 6 way primary in 1998, she was not the favorite to win in a pretty rural 2nd congressional district. It was Joe Winnicke, a more centrist Democrat state senator. So she benefited from a primary. I guess with Joe, I just like primaries. I think you find out who the strong person is, and I think that maybe last time around the 3rd district, Mark Pocan endorsing Katrina Shanklin, who I like a lot, is a very smart politician. But I think you found out in the primary, Rebecca Cook was the better primary campaigner. And so I think that campaigns, primaries tend to do that.
Okay. I'm giving this short shrift, and I completely acknowledge it. We have not talked very much about Governor Evers versus legislative Republicans on the prison overhaul program. Joe, we'll try to give it more time later, but in the very short time that we have here, is this just another case of legislative Republicans just trying to get in the way of whatever Governor Evers is trying to do, or is there a genuine need for bipartisan negotiation on this issue?
I think there has been bipartisanship on the prison closure issue, and there needs to continue to be. One of the hard things about, let's use the military base closing commissions, the BRAC commissions. When there are parochial local issues in a statewide system like the Department of Corrections, individual legislators are going to be focused on their community and not the big picture. The idea that before we have even brought in outside experts, the consultants who can look at the whole state, look at the whole picture and the whole system, and make recommendations about what is the best path forward, that even before that happens, we're going to have individual legislators, talking only about their own slice of the system, doesn't make sense to me. So this is fighting for fighting's sake before we've even got to the main event. Let's let the undercard sift through this thing with outside experts. That's what the $15 million is for.
Under 30 seconds, Todd, you want to add any insight on this prison overhaul debate?
Agreed largely with Joe. I think it's something that's been ongoing in this state. It should have been taken care of administrations ago, and I give Evers credit for pushing it through.
There you go. Finally, on the text line from Jim in Brookfield. Always good to see Todd Alba on the morning program. Apparently looking to expand his role to be a Weather Channel reporter. So
I love that. The Jim Santori of Civic Media.
Jim Cantori. Hang on to that lamppost there, Todd. You'll be okay. All right. Todd Alba, Joseph Peck, you guys, thank you both so much. Appreciate it. Thanks to all of you for joining us as well. By the way, Todd's going to have Chuck Collins on from Patriotic Millionaires at 2:30 this afternoon. I'm Pat Kreitlow from Up North News. Have a great day. We'll see you Friday morning, bright and early here up north. All right.
Thank you, Pat. See you later.